to go. Hit the wrong button. I hit the wrong button. My bad. You're good to go. We're live now.
Good evening, everybody, gamers. What is going on? Welcome to PM in the PM. Pong and Mav bringing you some deep dive on the news. It is November the 18th. Mav was trying to be producer in the background, give you some hand signals when we go live, and he hit the wrong button, as you heard. So, yeah. But anyways, hey, everybody. Great to see you all here. Happy Thursday evening. Hope your week has been absolutely fantastic. I've had a busy real life week, so I have not got much game playing in. I played a little bit of Halo, played a little bit of Battlefield, played a little bit of Skyrim Anniversary Edition, tried out that new Fae Tactics game that just dropped in the Game Pass for about an hour. But that's been my week so far. But anyways, my co-host, my brother from another, the one, the only, Fun Speculation, aka Mav. How are you doing tonight, sir? And what is going on with you this week?
Doing fantastic now that we got this finally up and running, man. Like, we're ready to go get live, and all of a sudden my PC just wigs out and I get weird errors popping up I've never seen before, ever. But hey, quick turnaround. We're back up fully live within 15 minutes, dude. So that's awesome. Been playing lots of games this week. Played lots of Halo Infinite. You know,
I'm sure you have been.
I had played some Battlefield. You know, got some more Forza Horizon in. Dude, it's a good time to be a gamer. It's a great time to be a gamer. And so yeah, just been work. You know, work's kind of been a little bit busy this week. So yeah, that's a thing. You know, but overall good, man. Like, it's good. I'm glad that we're able to get this showing because I know you've had a busy time this past week. So.
Yeah, it is busy time. But you know what? That's a great thing about these shows. Unless real life really intrudes, I do get to take a break and step away and do these shows no matter what. So that's the nice part. No matter what's going on, we get to sit down and talk about the gaming industry, which we both absolutely love. Hey, shout out to this wonderful chat. Almost 30 people already watching us in here. Look, you guys are amazing. Steel Rain, brother from another, of course, my co-host on Living Split Screen Saturdays. Great to see you, brother. I know you've got a few days off. Congratulations. I can guarantee you that man's gonna be playing some Halo stuff. Oh, yeah. Sean, always good to see you. Retro Nerd. Kaitlin, of course, is in here. How you doing? Good to see you, my dear. UK Lad. Siki's in the house. Who else we got in here? We got SoulCon. We got Vic the Click, of course. Good to see you, brother. Tony Grasso, always around in the chats. Awesome to see you. Army veteran, great to see you, sir. And then we've got myself. We've got Mav. So good to see you both in here. Rick Payne, my friend, how you doing? Good to see you here. And let me see who
Black
else.
Card One,
of course.
Yeah, what's up, Black Card?
Yeah, Black Card One, of course. Black Card. Good to see you, brother. Saffron, formerly known as Phasma. Good to see you, my dear. Always good to see you as well. Let's see.
She's a seasoning now.
She's a seasoning. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I'd say she's tasty, but that might be going too far. KLoWnZ, good to see you. General Spartan 27, awesome to see you as well. But Nelson Woodley, good to see you, sir. Thank you for dropping in. Hey, look, everybody, we've had one heck of a week. The Spuditron, good to see you too, man. We have one heck of a week for news. This started off on Monday with an absolute bomb, which we talked about last week. Leading up to it, we had some thoughts on it, and guess what, Mav? We were correct. So as a lot of people were. Those rumors floating around, of course, I'm talking about the Xbox 20th anniversary celebration, along with Halo's anniversary celebration as well, that happened on Monday. So I guess let's start there, Mav. We'll save the more spicy topic, the more controversial topics for a little bit later here. But let's start with some good stuff here, because Monday was an absolutely gigantic day for Xbox and for gamers in general, especially those of us that do like to play on the Xbox side of things. Again, if you've been living underneath a rock, it was a celebration. They had a 30-minute showcase show, I should say, don't say showcase, because there was really no games showing outside of Halo. But what they did, let's start here, Matt, because we'll get into Halo. Obviously, most people know by now what's happened with Halo. But let's talk about the celebration itself. They did a fantastic job of kind of taking a look back. I thought for how much time they gave it. Like I would have actually liked to seen this be an hour show. That's how good it was. The production value was off the charts. But they did a nice job of looking at each generation and giving us a glimpse. And obviously, we've got the announcement of the short 6-part mini series on the history of Xbox coming as well. But I thought they just did a fabulous job. Mav, when you were watching the show, obviously we were all kind of waiting for the big news and to see if it was going to happen or not. So that anticipation had already built up. But of course, especially those of us that are in this community, we absolutely look forward to these things because we like to celebrate gaming no matter what, whether they show games or not. So what kind of feelings did that show give you? The celebration kind of did it give you goosebumps? Did it bring you back and you were going through your memories again? And what do you think about the overall presentation, what they did?
I felt like it was warm and fuzzy. Like it was just like, hey, chill here, just watch this thing, kind of just take it all in and like look back a little bit. They had a lot of things in there that were kind of like, going back to the memories of some of the presentations that they've had, right? And then going back to kind of like showing glimpses of the different eras that they've went through, like even the dark times, they even went there, in a celebratory way though, because they showed everybody dancing with their connects and stuff. And then I even saw somebody playing Fable Legends at an E3 booth, and I was like, oh man,
oh god,
they shouldn't have shown that one, But it was like they showed all this stuff, and I'm just thinking back, like, man, like 20 years, right? Yeah, it's 20 years, and it was really well done and put together. A couple parts of it, I was like, okay, they could have just like left that out, like the mistakes were made section, right, for the achievement. I was kind of like, I didn't really even get what was wrong with some of the things like already they were showing clips of. I don't know. I was like, okay, that's cool. But it seemed like there's a little filler. So I think for me, 30 minutes was good because like in order to make it longer, they would have had to really draw out more content. And one thing I would have liked to see, if I was to say make it longer, would be to get more of the orchestra stuff and more of that, because I really enjoyed that about the with the Skyrim anniversary, right? Went back and watched that. Oh my god,
it wasn't it amazing, dude?
Wasn't it freaking amazing, And if you could have like a few songs played by an orchestra at the end, right? Just at the end, after everything else is over, if you choose to stay here and like celebrate watching the orchestra, that would be awesome. I would have liked to see that, but overall, really well done, tight 30-minute package that not only did it have those great nostalgia and celebratory feels, but it also alluded to what they're doing some things in the future. And then they gave us a couple of gifts, right?
Yep, they did.
And but I'll have to say that 6-part documentary series, I'm actually really excited to watch that, because the little glimpses they showed looked awesome. Like you saw like the DirectX team, like coming together, and it's like they're trying to portray them like they're like some like secret little like cool kids club inside Microsoft, like going around trying to like beat on everybody's doors and trying to get stuff accomplished, and it's like putting it together in that way, the way they showed it makes it like really intriguing and like to watch. So I really want to watch that and see how that comes together. It was awesome to see, and I really think that shows another level of like commitment that they're embracing Xbox so much, right? And Microsoft, that they're willing to even like fund a like documentary series about Xbox, so that was really cool. I think the gifts though were just like, oh my gosh. All right, so
we'll get to those in a minute. Yeah, for sure.
Well, what about you though? What do you think of the production?
Yeah, I thought the production was off the charts. I loved how they brought it full circle with The Rock. I think that was absolutely amazing. There was people that had kind of joked about that, hey, The Rock's got to be a part of this, because again, just like Xbox, that man has just grown through the decades, and it's kind of funny to see where he was as your classic wrestler to now the full-fledged actor, everything kind of guy now. So that was really cool to see.
He did a good job back 20 years ago too. Looking back at him, like, man, they made the right choice for him to be that of all the celebrities and stuff, because he actually sold it really well.
He did, and he's got that presence, right? And he's always had that presence. This is what made him such a big deal out of the gates in wrestling. But yeah, they did awesome, and to see him and Bill Gates up on stage again, even though I've seen that countless times, is still always funny. It's just such a odd couple, right? To be on stage together, and then of course his whole spiel where he memorizes everything. About Windows operating system and all that kind of stuff was absolutely classic. So no, I thought that was great. Production value was off the charts. I always love looking back at things. We're going to be in with this documentary series, like you said, that really piqued my interest, because I was like, man, we're going to be able to see like Greenberg as a young kid.
Yeah, dude,
right?
was that him skateboarding around
the
office?
That was his skateboarding.
It's insane, man. Just looking back, like, who is this guy? Just skateboarding around the offices trying to. And it shows that he's still like this big of a part of it. It means you can imagine how much Xbox must mean to like him being part of the original group. Right.
And there's so many of them that are still there. Phil, how he grew up with Xbox. He started out as an intern, for God's sakes. I mean, that's the cool part, is you get to go back and say, oh my God, look at that. And then you get to see all this stuff in between. And of course, we always want to have peeks behind the curtains, right? We always want to see what actually happens. And this is going to give us a little glimpse, because we don't get that kind of stuff, right? How many times have we said over the past year or two, Matt, God, I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that, right? I'd love to know what went down. And if they actually do, and being that it is a 6-part documentary series, it's going to give them lots of time. If they like delve into what happened during the Red Ring of Death, and how all that went down, and the decisions that were kind of made, and obviously Ballmer stepping up and saying, fix it, don't care, get it done.
Yeah.
I want to see that, because that's the interesting part. Again, from the armchair CEO that I love to be, because business interests me and chess moves interest me and all the working parts of it. I can't wait to see how much they show us, because we're always looking forward to that. But yeah, I just think overall it did a great job kicking all the nostalgia feels into high gear, getting everybody amped up, even though we were all already pretty hyped to try to see if they were going to drop some bombs, what they were going to tell us, what they weren't going to tell us. But they did a nice job just bringing that up even more, because people went back into the past and had all the flashbacks. Those of us old enough to go through all those generations, it was awesome to see. And I really appreciated the time and effort they took to do all that. So absolutely loved it. Like you said, Matt, gifts started coming, right?
Yeah.
So we got a glimpse not only of the documentary series, but we did get a glimpse of the Halo series coming, Paramount Plus, correct? So that was one of them.
You talk about goosebumps too, man.
Right.
Dude, I got them for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you dive into that. So thought it looks great. So they start off with that, then they give us the backwards compatibility stuff. 76, am I correct, Matt? 76, I think it is.
Yeah, they said 70 plus at the time, but I think it's like 76. I think it's 76.
Yeah, 76 titles dropping into backwards compatibility. Now this came with a slight caveat that they are stating that this is probably going to be the last batch of backwards compatibility due to licensing issues. But man, what a way to go out to introduce 76 more titles. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I picked up Binary Domain, Max Payne 3, and I've got the Fear series on the way. That's how excited I got about the backwards compatibility. So for me, that was a huge announcement. And then, of course, the Halo multiplayer beta going live. So, Matt, obviously, I'm going to give you, I don't need to talk much about the Halo. Well, I will talk much about the Halo, but I'm going to let you have first crack at these. So, Matt, TV show, backwards compatibility, Halo multiplayer beta going live, free to play for everybody. We had talked about maybe they only do it for Game Pass users, right? Maybe they only give the Game Pass users early access. They did it for everybody. Just open it up. What'd you think, man? The gifts. You were talking about how good they were. Talk about it. What do you got?
So first off, I want to say nailed all the predictions. Right?
Yep.
Backwards compatibility stuff, Halo TV show glimpse, and Halo Infinite multiplayer. We were all on the same page, I think, on that stuff, and I think most people were. But it was cool to see that actually came through, and not a lot of people were disappointed by what they saw, right? Because sometimes these leakers, they started giving hints and stuff, and then the stuff doesn't actually end up happening, and then you have people like trying to make a big deal. Like, I'd never get disappointed by stuff when it doesn't happen, because I just like to be excited about the possibility, right? But some people take it like, hey, this sucks. They said they were just gonna be there, now I'm all disgruntled right now. But it was cool to actually see that stuff come through. So we got, first off, the Halo TV show sneak peek, right? Now, they only showed us 10 seconds, right?
Yeah, maybe.
But,
yeah.
Oh my God, what an impactful 10 seconds about proving to the audience about what this show is going to be about, right? Which it dispelled any concerns I had over what the core focus was going to be. Okay, because it's like, hey, are they gonna do some of the stuff that they did before, where they kind of had they had this other show with where they followed Lasky as a recruit and the ODST, or not ODST, but UNSC recruit, or maybe it was ODST. I can't remember, but they have a lot of side story things that they've done before. They did Halo Nightfall as well, and things like that. But this was more of a full fledged, hey, this is going to follow Chief. And they showed him put on the helmet at the end, and the way it looked with the rubber around the neck going down over his head is perfect, right? And
do we know, Mav? Do we know if this is going to let us see Chief prior to the armor, or does the show start right when he's putting on the armor?
That's what
kind of flashback.
I don't know, because from what I understand on the stuff I've seen about the show, is it is going to follow Chief and Cortana as the core focus. Okay. But so that leads you to certain timeline things. It has to be after CE, right?
Right.
And it can't be after 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or unless it's during 4, but then that doesn't really make sense for this, right? So it's it's somewhere between 1 and 3, and maybe it's filling in some gaps in between there. That we were talking about this on Fun Pop about where does it fit, because we kind of know where Chief is at all these times, but except for small instances. One is when the Arbiter's doing his thing, right? Sometimes we don't know exactly what Chief is up to, and things like that. So it's going to be really interesting to see where they come up with these stories. And I'm really excited to see it, because it is going to be a core focus about Chief and Cortana. And one thing the actor Pablo Schreiber had said before was that we already know a lot about Chief, but this time you're going to learn a little bit more about John, right? And it was interesting to me how at the beginning of the trailer you see the scars on his back from the surgeries and all this stuff, right? The augmentations and stuff he went through, and you see then the armor comes on, then you hear Cortana's voice. So this is what to me is a glimpse behind the scenes of some of the stuff that we don't get to see as players, right? But it's still revolving somewhat around that same time. It is canon. It's the show operators from Showtime and stuff said that this is going to follow and respect the video game canon, but is going to tell new stories as well. Okay. So awesome. It's revolving just hearing Cortana. I can't remember exactly what she said, but it was hey, what are we doing today, Chief? Or something like that. It was just that it was so impactful just to see that. And then even more after that, right after it, just the plain blank Halo screen where it just says Halo. It almost gave me Halo CE vibes, right? Of this is just Halo, and with the music and everything, it just gave me this is potentially going to be the TV show that we've all been dreaming of, Halo in its purest form. And I am super, super freaking excited about that. So that was gift number 1. That tease. The gift number 2 is a back compat.
Right.
And I've seen some people go on and try and make doomsday stuff about this. Oh, it's the last. They said they're trying to preserve games and all these things. Look, there's licensing stuff, there's legal stuff.
Right.
They just, it's not possible to do everything. But what they did is they focused on the ones that they felt that they could get accomplished, that were the most requested, right? So they went through after they'd already said they were probably done with it, right? And added 70 something more games from OG Xbox and 360 that come with benefits, because a lot of these have FPS boost as well. So you're going to get to play these better. And the OG Xbox games, the original Xbox games, if you're playing on a Series X, guess what? You get 4 times the resolution on those OG Xbox games. So
4 times 100p is 400p. So we're doing good.
There you go. So
just joking.
It goes to show, like, there's a lot of benefit here to adding those. Now, like, granted, I would like to see if they could all be added to the digital storefront somehow, so you don't have to hunt for disc and stuff. But it's still a thing, you know. So I was super happy about that. And man, out of all those games, the fears I'm really excited about. But the one that was surprising that was on the list is one that I've personally wanted to be back compat. And it just, I was like, that's never gonna happen, you know. Like, it's just like, why would they go back and make an effort to bring that one back now? And it was on the list. It's a little game that I played a lot on the 360 era, and that was Sacred 2.
Nice.
I was like, oh my god,
awesome, man,
dude, that game was so much fun co-op back then. I don't know that the servers are going to be on or whatever, but you know what?
No, probably not. But yeah,
that game was so much fun playing co-op on the 360. It's like a Diablo style type CRPG looter, you know, so good. Loved that game, and it was there, man. Like, it's crazy. So there's little gifts in there and nuggets for everybody, it seems like, because they filled in about a bunch of different stuff. Plus, like, you got the Max Paynes, right, as well. So,
well, and that goes to show you too, Mav, they didn't take the easy route.
Yeah.
Right. They didn't, because I can't imagine it was easy. Now, they didn't get the FPS boost on the Max Paynes.
Yeah.
Right. But I can't imagine it was easy to get Rockstar to agree to that, because that's still Rockstar's, again, Rockstar isn't the Rockstar of old. They've made so many mistakes, as we've seen. However, that IP still has a ton of value, and at some point they may bring it back. Now, there's also the possibility that they get acquired in the meantime, but that IP has a lot of value. So for them to even get Rockstar to agree to that was a huge deal. And then also, like you said, some of the little games in there, Riften and Riften 2. Riftens are some of my favorites, right? I'm gonna go get Riften 2 because I never played Riften 2. I played 1 and 3. I'm going to get Riften 2, the pirate one. Even though it didn't get great reviews, kind of like Sacred, it was kind of a whatever during that time when there was a ton of stuff out and people just were like, meh, whatever. But I love those games.
Was that just like, to be able to see that like one of those RPGs, kind of like Two Worlds?
It's an action
RPG?
No, it's an action RPG, top down. Yeah, your
down,
classic,
okay.
more, top down, a little bit more story than Sacred. As far as talking to people and that kind of stuff, more so than Sacred is. But yeah, no, I want to go back and play them again. And I do love the Sacreds too. So I've been looking at those as well. But I just thought the backwards compatibility, if it is the final drop, and I'm still not 100%. I know they have to say that right now, because right now it's kind of the end of things. However, as they get more partnerships and talk to more companies down the road, I think this could become a yearly thing where they do a backwards compatibility drop around the holidays of, a batch of games that they just got licensing to or came to agreements with.
I think they could continue to work on that. Make sense for that as well. Like, let's say if they did acquire another publisher at some point, that would increase their whole back catalog, which would change some of that.
Right. And we didn't get like Alpha Protocol. That's still out there. And we got to know, maybe that's a hint that there's something in the works, that Sega's got some deals in the works. Obviously, we know Obsidian will go back to it. But again, all that kind of stuff. I just think that they have to say it now, because that's the point that they're at. And they don't want to leave the door open in case things just don't work out and they really can't get any more licenses. But if they do work things out, it's just gonna be a big surprise for us, right? It's gonna be another bonus. So it'll just be something cool that all of a sudden is like, surprise, got some more backwards compat titles for you. We just don't want to promise that that we can get things done when it looks like we're right now. So continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to take over there.
No, you're good, man. I mean, I think like you're
Yeah.
definitely making some good points with that too. I think that it's gonna be interesting to see like what that team focuses on now, because this has been this has had to have been a lot of work getting that put together, right? The same
Res
team
boost.
works on
Res boost,
FPS boost, and the thing is, I think what they kind of alluded to is that they're going to focus on bringing more value to the gamers in those kind of ways now.
Res boost.
So that's what I'm looking at, you know, like seriously, because they've managed to do it on the OG Xbox games. And if they can manage to do that stuff on the 360 games and Xbox One games, you know, automatically, I think that's something that they're probably going to work on, because Jason Ronald said that they're going to work on that. So, you know, it's very interesting to see what that amazing team is that didn't even exist at the beginning of the Xbox One generation, right? This team was put together to see if they could figure out and crack the code on 360 backwards compatibility on the Xbox One. Since then, they have gone on to make hundreds of games back compat, right? And then go on to do like FPS boost implementation, and I think, I don't know if they're responsible for auto HDR or whatever, but like
they're responsible for auto HDR too.
Just like that, it's amazing to see like all this extra value and services we get because of the emphasis that they're putting onto it. So kudos, thank you for that. Now, if some people doesn't matter that much, because some people don't like to play old games, that's fine. I especially like when my old games that I already own get better, right? So I'm excited for that. And then also the Big Daddy, the biggest gift, the one that was talked about the most leading up to this, and the one that all the evidence was out there, but you still had your people like, nah, ain't gonna happen. Not never gonna happen. They wouldn't do that. Nope. Forza Horizon's here. They're not gonna rain on its parade. No, they're not gonna mess with Battlefield. You know, they're not gonna do this. They're not gonna do that. They just like said, screw it. We're gonna stand up here with a round of applause, give ourselves a round of applause, and drop the sucker for all you guys right now. And holy crap, if we didn't hear ding, 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 people popping online, you know, one after another, right after that, to get that sucker downloaded, try and trigger that update, waiting for that game. And that's how I've been seeing people play for the last, you know, what was it, 3 or 4 days now, I guess, is Halo Infinite. And man, it's good. Yeah, it's really good. Like they gave us 10 maps. They gave us everything. I mean, really, it's the full experience, but it's in beta, so they can tweak things, which is another thing we probably are going to talk about.
We'll talk about that.
Because they have been under fire from some taking it extremely too far with the criticism. Some, you know, being critical over some of the progression systems and stuff like that. But man, like what a freaking game, you know. It's just Halo is back in all its glory, with more people playing than ever before, just like we predicted a long time ago when they announced that Halo Infinite multiplayer was going to be free to play. Shot up to break the Xbox record on Steam in its first hour. And also has gone on to just be completely stable experience as well. But despite all of the people playing, you have all of the Xbox people playing. You know that this weekend is going to be crazy.
Oh yeah,
with Halo Infinite multiplayer. If you thought that this week was busy with multiplayer in Halo, wait till this weekend, because people already making lots of plans to get in big groups together and all this kind of stuff. So, what are your thoughts, Pong? I know that you got to play a little bit.
Yeah. I played with you guys.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did enjoy it.
As a casual Halo fan?
As a casual Halo. It'll never be my main. It is Halo. It is what it is. However, again, I've played them all. You know, played campaigns, multiplayer. So I've got the whole experience. So I do know what I'm talking about, not to your level, but I definitely do know what I'm talking about. And this is still, just like the Flightings were, the best feeling Halo in a long, long time. And it's probably the most polished multiplayer game that we've had come out. And this is beta still. Even if you want to say, well, whatever, it's beta, but it's really fully released. It doesn't matter. However you want to put it, this is one of the most polished multiplayer games that's come out. And I don't know how long, right? I can't think of the last big multiplayer game, AAA multiplayer game that offered this much, that came out this polished with as few problems as they have had, server wise, feel wise, all of it. It's unbelievable, right? From that standpoint, from tech standpoint, it's just unbelievable what they've done. That year off, again, we heard last year multiplayer was ready to go. I'm sure it wasn't as polished as it is now. Still sure it would have been probably be better than 80-90% of the multiplayer games we get, but they took that extra year, and now you've got probably the best one to come out in a long time. You've got it changing minds, like Dr. Disrespect, who just a week ago, was being shredded because he said Halo needs a BR, otherwise it's a dead game in 2 weeks or whatever he said, 3 weeks. He even has changed his mind now that he's played it. He even put out a tweet that shouted out kudos to 343. This game feels so good, right? That's the kind of stuff that you get when you put together one of the most iconic franchises and you do it right. Now, if they stick the campaign on top of this, Matt, we've been talking about it, brother. Even me, as a casual Halo fan, I've said they stick the campaign, and the flighting was an indication of the multiplayer. Now we have confirmation of multiplayer, but if they stick that campaign on top of this, you're going to have Halo Infinite is going to be considered up there with number 3 and possibly even eclipsing number 3, which for the vast majority of Halo fans who believe number 3 is the best all-time experience overall, that's saying that's unspeakable, because most people never thought that would have happened, right? So this multiplayer does nothing but, once again, build on my confidence of what the campaign's going to give me. Again, this campaign in particular with Halo Infinite, what we've seen appeals to me more than all the other campaigns that I've played, just because of the openness, because of all the different traversal, just because of all the different ways you can choose to attack each mission and goal. That to me is exciting. I can't wait to get my hands on that. But this multiplayer is great. Played with you guys for what we played, 4.5 hours the first night or whatever it was. Ridiculously good. Again, did it change my mind on Halo being my main multiplayer game? No, it didn't, because again, for whatever reason, Halo just doesn't grab me like that. But at the end of the day, to hop in with people, to fool around with in big team battle, or whatever the case may be, is simply just a purely fun time. It is a good time, and there's so few issues that makes it even that much better, because there's no convoluted mess trying to get into a server together. There's no server hiccups where we're constantly getting kicked out. We had like a stretch of like 5 minutes, I think, where we had some server issues where we just restarted and came back in, and everything was fine after that. So again, that to me says it all. 343 has knocked it out of the park. This is going to be around for a very long time. Yes, they do have to tweak some things. We can get into that now. I'll get your opinion on this as well. Obviously, the main tweak that everybody's asking for is the progression system. They've started addressing that as of today. So again, for people who don't kind of know what was happening, there's a progression system. Obviously, this is a free-to-play game, right? So it's a free-to-play game. So they're giving you a battle pass, right? And you got to purchase the battle pass. So you earn experience to open up different equipment. There's also a free version of that battle pass, which is very light on the gifts, but that it is what it is. Again, I don't expect that much out of free-to-play. I'm one of those people who actually enjoy free-to-play games and don't mind the model at all, because I get to dictate how much I invest into the game if I want to. But anyways, so the battle pass, you got to earn experience. In most other games that have battle passes, the battle passes themselves are for a shorter period of time. 343, again, once you buy a battle pass, it is open to you forever. It is wide open. You can work on it. You can work on another battle pass when they get a second season out. Doesn't matter. You choose when you work on these battle passes. You get to keep them forever. And also, this first season is running until May. So obviously, that's an extended series. Most battle passes don't run that long. Most are three months. Some run 4 months depending on timing. But that's it. So this is an extended battle pass. So they put out this progression system that was and is to this point, but getting better, frustrating to people, especially somebody like me who likes to see it. I know there's people like you, Mab, and you come from a different angle, and I'll let you explain that a little bit because you don't necessarily play for the experience or whatever else the case may be. But for me, I'm one of those guys who does like to feel like I'm going somewhere, that I'm accomplishing something, that I'm gaining something out of playing. And that's a me thing, but it's a lot of people. And this progression system they had in place in the first place, really, I mean, we played for 4.5 hours. I didn't reach level 1, right? So to me, that's like, ooh, that's extreme, right? That's like, again, I understand you got to slow it down because it's for a longer period of time. There's a lot more involved in this, but at the end of the day, that's not going to keep people around that are looking to scratch that itch, because that's the hook. That's one of the hooks when you buy into a battle pass, right? Is getting those things. Yes, some people like to just grind away until they max it out and then just play for fun after that. When you make that grind over the top, you're going to lose some people. Now, let me just give you a quick rundown here. Windows Central, shout out the guys over there, Jez, everybody. This one was written by Brendan Lowry. I'll give you a quick rundown for anybody who doesn't know that the changes that they did announce so far, what they're going to try to do here is that they are going to, let's take a look here. Here it is right here. All right. So in a recent tweet, 343, let's see, in terms of changing, explain. Okay, so in terms of what's changing, JunZek, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, explained that players will now always have play one game daily challenges available, so players will have a consistent way to progress. Now, people are confused about this because it was 2 games gave you 100 XP, right, Mav? And then as you played, it went to you had to play 2 games to get that, or you had to play 3 games to get that XP. You had to play 4 games to get that XP. You had to play 5 games to get that XP. So it kept extending out how many games in a row you had to play in order to earn XP. So what they're doing now is every game you get 50 XP across the board. I saw some people going, "It's the same because you got 100 for 2." Again, tell me you didn't play Halo Infinite without telling me you didn't play Halo Infinite, because you would have known that that's not how it stayed. That they progressively got harder because you had to play more games before you saw that XP hit.
Yeah.
So again, that's good, especially for people that need to hop in, hop out, don't have a chunk of time to play. Having that consistency there so that you just know you're earning 50 XP every time is good to go. Additionally, developers are also planning to adjust, fix, and remove some weekly challenges based on feedback from players. This likely means that difficult and unpopular challenges like kill a player with a stalker rifle after they use a man cannon will be reworked or removed. For those that don't know, that was another big issue. Like, they had these challenges. Yeah, they had a lot of different challenges, but a lot of those challenges consisted of things where you had to do something very specific on a certain map. And right now, there's really no way to set up that you're going to play that map. So you could have 5 matches in a row without even having the opportunity to perform whatever ridiculous stunt they wanted you to have perform on there. That was another big problem. So they are going to do that, as well as the length of XP boosts is also being increased to 1 hour, was 30 minutes previously. I will say this, they still need to work on this one, Mav, because it's 30 minutes, or it's an hour of real time. And to get into matches, to find certain matches, they don't account for that. This should be changed to gameplay only. Call of Duty switched over to that a while back. That's the only thing that makes sense to make it fair. So, but they are going to extend the 30 minutes of XP boost to actually an hour of XP boost now. So that is another big change. So we're going to see those rolled out. Some people were already seeing them rolled out today, and then they're going to continue. They've talked about they're going to continue to watch it. Staten came out and said again they're going to continue to see how things go and then adjust from there. This is, like you said, Matt, part of the beta. So Matt, from your standpoint, the XP stuff, is there anything else talk about the XP stuff because you do come from a little bit different perspective, and
Yeah.
obviously people like to hear that. So go ahead.
Yeah, it needs to be reworked.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think that some aspects on the idea of it is good.
Thanks for the tag, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome. I just wanted everybody to know. You know what I mean? It's gonna stay there for until we're done with the Halo
I make
topic.
sure to tell everybody so nobody thinks I'm some big Halo fan trying to talk about this stuff. Right?
Yeah, no, I made it clear. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that you're a casual Halo fan. You know, in case they didn't hear it already. Yeah, dude. No, all right. First off, one thing I'll say is like, okay, yeah, there's definite issues, and I'm going to go into what my issues with that are, and offer my feedback on maybe ways they could improve it, right? But before getting into that, I want to say a couple things, okay? This is not the only aspect of this game, right?
Right.
The entire game, and I'm not directing this towards you. I'm directing this towards some people on social media that say this game is trash or entirely because of a messed up progression system that's in beta, and we know they're working on, right? So some people just immediately go to say, well, this is horrible. This is like blah, blah, blah. Screw this game. I'm never going to play it again. Right? After they said, hey, this is one of the best playing games I've ever played.
Right.
And it's like, okay, like you're saying that this game that you can go into and play completely for free and you have zero investment of money, you can go and you can have one of the best playing experiences you've ever had in a first-person shooter that's running well. You love the guns, you love the maps, you love everything except the progression system, and the game is just dead for you because of that. It's
predatory, map. It's predatory.
We're gonna get into that
because I can't earn my armor. I can't get the armor I want.
It's exact. Okay, so then you have that group of people that you just explained, right?
Yeah.
And that are just it's like trying to say that, hey, this is a massive problem with this game and it permeates through the industry, and that this is like a predatory, anti-consumer, all of these things, and we should be against it, and I'm going to take a stand and never play this game again. And it's like, come on. You know, okay, this is cosmetic stuff that people have complete choice whether they want to buy. It's like, hey, you go into a store, there's stuff for sale, okay? You know, being in that, okay, let's say you go to Six Flags, right? Or Disney World. Let's say you got a free pass. You get to go in there. You get to ride all the rides. You get to have the best day of your life, right? You get to go and do all the roller coasters. You get to do all the, like, freaking Tower of Terror and all that shit for free. You get a free pass. You go in there and you do whatever the hell you want. But hey, there's a Mickey Mouse doll. I might want to buy that. You know, there's a Goofy doll. I might want to buy that. You know what I mean? Who knows? Maybe I see other
people walking around with those dolls. Why can't I get that doll without having to pay for
it? Because it's predatory. They got you into that park just to sell you shit, Pong Soul. It's predatory. They're
after that's business.
They're after your wallet. They're after it. It's so bad. It's predatory, Pong Soul. It's made for kids. I mean, come on. No, seriously. Now, people like it's free. Now, there's a lot of benefits to a free to play game. Okay.
Yeah.
Number one, you see day one. How many players did you have on Steam?
Right.
Playing this game?
270,000 plus concurrent at one point.
If this game was $60 or $70, would it have reached those numbers?
Nope.
No way in hell. Right.
And what happened because of that? Because the campaign was #1 Steam seller that day as well.
Yeah. So
interesting.
You automatically have a zero barrier of entry, which means that, hey, you're going to get a lot of people to try this game. Okay. Some people are going to spend money on cosmetics, their choice, if they want to buy something. Some people aren't, right? Some people are going to get the battle pass. some people only care about playing competitively and don't give a shit about the battle pass or cosmetics whatsoever. They just want to win, right? So it's up to the player, you know. Do I see somebody walking around with a cool suite of armor like Steel Rain had that badass armor last night? Our buddy Jasper had that badass armor. I was like, oh, I want that armor. Do I feel attacked because they have armor that they purchased and I didn't? No. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Now, the free-to-play model also has benefit of longevity, right? Okay, so if you have a game like this, you sell $60, $70 or whatever, you're going to have the large player base purchase that game. Guess what? The player base over time usually shrinks, right? It usually shrinks. People buy into another game or whatever this, and the companies don't have as much incoming revenue from that game, right? So that at that point, they have to look out at how are we going to keep this revenue stream up? We're going to either make a new game, right? At that point, then you divide the player base. Okay, you divide the player base, you make a new game. Some people are going to like the new game. Some people aren't going to like the new game. You're going to criticize the new game. So what do? You make a great game and you keep it alive. That's what they're doing here. They make a great game, give zero barrier of entry. They keep it alive over time with recurring revenue in order to generate a larger player base over time with things that people want. And that's the way they monetize the game and make money off of selling the game, because guess what? It's a business, and that's what they want to do, is make money by people playing a game. That's what the free-to-play model is all about. Now, the thing is, it has its benefits for consumers as well, right? So if you do it the right way. Now, there's bad free-to-play with pay-to-win, okay? And there's also bad versions of this kind of stuff in games that are pay to play, in games that you have to pay $60 or $70 for, that have similar models and similar battle passes and similar things that are not even free to play to begin with. For example, Ultimate Team in sports games and stuff like that. So attacking Halo Infinite over being free to play is just flat out, totally and utterly wrong.
Yep.
And I get sick of it, especially when people use strong words like predatory.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because you spread that and you put that stuff out there, and somebody's going to catch on, latch onto it, and then keep spreading it. And all of a sudden, hey, this predatory game, it was so far from the truth. Okay? So far from the truth. It is absolutely not that. Now, getting into the issues that I have with the progression system that may also be making some people feel extra like this because they're having trouble leveling up to get that free stuff that they wanted, right? Okay, so issues with progression system. You have a system right now that you pretty much are getting handed out random ways of getting your XP. Okay? You're getting your XP divvied out to you with these random things like, hey, like the freaking damn pulse carbine. Get 3 kills with the pulse carbine. I hate that gun. I hate the pulse carbine, right? I do not want to use the pulse carbine, but guess what? It keeps showing up on that damn list, and I don't have a swap thing because I already used it once on something else, right? So I have to force myself, if I want to upgrade, get that XP or get rid of that freaking thing and get something else there instead, I got to go use that gun that I absolutely hate. Now, the benefit from the developers would be they want people to try different guns and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But like when you're in for me, like, here's the thing. When I'm playing these games, I usually don't really think about that stuff. I just get in a zombie zone mode, and I just want to go play and try and win and get kills and have fun, right? I'm worried about the objective. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about that. I'm worried about, hey, the guy coming around the corner, not like, hey, where's the pulse carbine? I got to go make sure I find a pulse carbine, right? When it's like that, it kind of gets in your head, and you stop really focusing on what you should be doing, playing the game, right? So therefore, if they just kind of have more natural ways of earning XP and progression based on certain things, and you could have stuff like that, because naturally over time you will end up getting a kill with the pulse carbine. So I think they just need to like kind of do an overhaul over the system.
Yeah.
Am I concerned about it? No, because guess what? It's one of the most popular, biggest franchises out there, and this is their first time doing free to play, and they're trying to figure out work it right, and they're going to have a lot of pressure from the player base to get this right over time. And I'm confident at eventually they're going to settle on something and figure out something that works for them and also works for the player base, because the player base is not going to give up on them on this, because so many people do care about that, right? Because they want to go in and feel rewarded for their time and with progression and stuff. And that's when the free to play model, that's very important, right? So, do I think it's a huge deal? No, it's going to get worked out. They already have made the first set of changes. They're testing that. And over time, I think it's going to be drastically probably different than what it is right now. Season 2, you're probably going to have something very, very big changes. Season 3, season 4, you got to think about this, guys. Like, Fortnite today, you know how many iterations of progression and stuff they've gone through? You know, like
no, I don't, because I've never played it.
You don't. But there's so many. It's very different. Apex, all these different games, they change over time, right? Like because they're trying to balance things. They get feedback from players. They get stuff that they want to do, you know, and if they're gonna settle on something that's gonna work.
I will say, I agree with Country Gentleman here, Mav. He makes a great point. The progression system shouldn't force a gamer to change the way they play.
I agree.
That I agree with 100%, Country Gentleman.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think sometimes it works better in the battle royale genre because you're kind of out there on your own, and you kind of, hey, there's this whole huge map to do something on, and you kind of like, hey, what you're gonna change the way you play this big match, and kind of think about it, because you feel like more of like it's a solo adventure at times with like battle royale, if you're
right.
So but like
an objective-based game, right? You're sitting in an objective-based game, and you got somebody trying to shoot 4 tires off the Warthog and not playing the objectives, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's what you don't want.
I don't want to, like, I kept finding myself, man, I got to get the fucking pulse carbine every time you know what I mean? And I don't necessarily, it can add some things at times, because it can be fun if you get bored with being stale of like keep doing the same thing over again to kind of change things up. But like when that's your only level of getting the XP, right, that you need to progress, which is way too slow right now, it's like it makes you like, it's gonna get you killed, you know what I mean? And that nobody really wants to play an arena shooter like that using weapons that they hate and stuff like that. So like they got a lot of overhaul to do, but I'm not concerned about it. It's not like a huge deal to me. It is significant, right? That because of that's the style of game that this is. It's free to play model, and they're giving you cosmetic rewards and all this stuff for playing. But it's not all that this game is either, right? So like, it seems like that's been dominating the conversation a lot, which is rightfully so. People giving their feedback, and I like to hear the feedback and ideas that people have. Mm-hmm. So like, one thing I will say is get rid of the system entirely of having random specific things, like 5 things that you can only do. I'd rather have a long list of just simpler challenges that are going to naturally occur over time, right? And that you don't necessarily have to look for or hunt for, but you can if you choose to, right? And you're going to feel the more natural progression and rewards happen over time, because you're going to see those get checked off frequently. You're going to have people rank up faster. And then when you only have a few left, right, you go and look for those. What did I not do yet? You know what I mean? It gives you more of a sense of accomplishment of completing a bigger list of objectives or something, right? There's a lot of ideas that people could have, but that would be something I would say. But other than that, hey, freaking amazing game. I love the new maps that we haven't got to play yet until now. It's been a blast.
Have you seen anything else, Mav, that you would? I know, like some of the vehicles. You know, anything else in that area that you think they need to tweak a little bit?
Brute chopper, they need to rework the handling on the brute chopper. There's a couple of guns that I'm not too crazy about. The pulse carbine is one of them. You know, like you can get in a groove with it if you really try, you know. I think some of the guns I just haven't used enough to really get as familiar with. I would say that I would like on the arena section to be able to just choose Slayer independently.
Yeah, that's a lot of people are saying that's a big issue now. But obviously, that's part of the things that they're going to add.
Yeah, which is another thing too. Is there's a issue I have with the progression system because a lot of them are like play ranked arena matches or play oddball or play this mode.
Yeah.
But if you're playing only big team because you have a group of 5+,
yep,
right, you're not going to be doing any of those, right?
Right.
You're not doing any of those objectives. So you can play for like an entire night, right? 8 hours and not be able to accomplish anything on your list because they're all tied to arena, right? And so, or social arena or ranked arena or whatever. So I think they need to work on that aspect as well, right? So, but yeah, the brute chopper I think needs some work. I think that the I'm not crazy about the I forget the game mode, the one where you have to go
the seed gathering. I was just gonna say, retire that early, please. 343.
The power seeds, like
whatever the hell that is. I forget what it's called.
Like it's a. It almost looks kind of stupid even when you're playing and you see like those it looks like ants carrying like food back to the queen like on the screen, like, oh no, hey, once you play it more it can be kind of fun. I think if you really get
did you see the video today from Jordan today on Twitter? What's the Warthog without the gun, the new vehicle they got? What's it called?
I just called it the gunless hog. I don't know what it's called.
You know what I'm talking about though, right?
Yeah,
the 4-seater. Yeah. You can actually load. It's got slots in the back of that where you can load the seeds. Yeah. I did not know that. That was kind of cool. I saw that today.
So people at the experienced teams, you'll see at the beginning, they'll hop in that sucker. They'll just drive right to the seeds, put them in there, and go. That's right, and then you're like, "What? How'd they get a point already?" Now, the more you play that mode, I have had fun playing it at times, like. The strategy of like sneaking into the other enemy's base and like stealing their seeds away, right, and stuff like that. When you really learn how to play it, we've had some fun matches, which we played so much Halo, dude. Like the last few nights, I had a lot of fun with Steel Rain. Last night we had a lot of fun. We're having a blast, just laughing and stuff. But
sorry I missed it.
Yeah, you would have been dying.
I'm sure I would have. I'm sure. We're always dying in there.
Yeah, Steel was being nasty. He was being nasty.
Oh, was he? Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm used to that. So I get that on a regular basis with him. Yeah. So we're good.
Yeah, dude. It's been overall though, man, like, because I'm having so much fun playing the game.
Yeah.
It hasn't bothered me with the progression system and like these little tweaks. So I think that they're going to get it right. And it's good to see that they're already being super proactive about it, So
isn't it just nice to know that it's not going away again, Math? This is it. You've got it for life now.
I know.
It's going to be here for like the next 10 years. You've got a Halo waiting for you.
And it's just going to get better and better and better, dude. That's the other thing about the free-to-play model is like, okay, Halo 5 kind of became what it was, and then it kind of like died out over, you know what I mean? Like, I know that this is going to be something that's going to keep improving because guess what? They're going to have so they're going to be making money off of it. And it's going to be like important for them to keep it afloat by keeping player engagement there. Right. So there's a lot of benefits there, like to the player that like whether you buy anything yourself or not, you still get those benefits. Right. We're going to get all these maps that they're going to come out with and modes that they're going to come out with over these next 10 years. All the new guns that they probably end up putting in the game or new this and new that. Who knows exactly what they're going to do. Right, I just have I think there's infinite possibilities.
You think so? You think that's why they might have named it that?
I think so.
And I and you may, because this is going to be so successful, get Halo Wars 3 from Creative Assembly out of this.
Man.
So can't wait, man. No, good stuff, Matt. Good thoughts. I knew you'd have a lot to say, and I love hearing it. Like I said, casual Halo fan, if you guys didn't know right here, hardcore Halo fan, Mav. So again, I love listening to these guys talk about it because it is something that they absolutely have lived for and lived through for a long time. So it's always awesome to get the perspective when it comes to this, because again, it's different. It's different from somebody who has a just a, you know, whatever kind of look to it. Yeah, it's a great game, whatever else, like it, love playing with everybody. But it's different for somebody who actually has analyzed and gone through each iteration of a absolute you know, one of the greatest franchises in the history of video games, and to see them get the latest one and kind of how they feel about it. So awesome thoughts, man. I appreciate that for sure. So I think we both agree. Again, Xbox dominating the news cycle, doing everything seemingly right, nonstop, just over and over and over again. You know, pretty much this whole past year. Been a couple small trip ups here and there, but overall, now that they are in full hype mode, this week was kind of the culmination of everything coming together that they've been doing now for a very long time. And I just thought it was awesome to see it all come together right now, right here, for them to drop the bomb. Again, if I was Phil, I would have dropped the whole dang game on Monday and said, go for it. If the campaign was ready, I would have just dropped the whole thing. I would have nuked everybody. Said, screw it, drop it. But for them to, this is a different Microsoft now. This is not the Microsoft of old. If anybody still out there is still holding on to hope that this is going to be the Microsoft under Donnie D, that was constantly making mistake after mistake and was a weak part of the weak link in the industry, you have to see at this point that that's no longer the case. This move here to launch the Halo multiplayer beta early, 3 weeks early, was a power move. Okay, that's not a move you make from a point of weakness. That's a move that you make from a point of confidence. And Phil and his team right now are on cloud 9, and they are knocking out of the park. Forza Horizon 5, the early access, that was another huge power move and proved to be a key move into this holiday season, because now you are at over 9 million players in Forza Horizon 5, and Halo is well on its way to seeing those types of numbers eventually at this point too.
Like, to your point too, power move, right?
Yeah.
By doing this, it's almost like they get to launch Halo twice.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
Because now on December the 8th, when they drop Halo Infinite single player, guess what's gonna dominate the news again? Especially if it hits.
Yes.
Like some of the previews are seem really positive right now, right?
And we know the media also has the full versions. So which is insane. Again, they gave out that over a month in advance, right? A month and a half in advance. They're letting the media have the full version of the campaign. Again, confidence power move right there, just to do that as well. Yeah, no, I agree, Mav. And we saw what it did. Like I said before, the multiplayer drives the hype for the single player. So that's why you saw it number 1 on Steam for pre-orders. Number 1 sales, just the pre-orders, because everybody was playing the multiplayer, realized how freaking good it is feeling, and we're like, dang, well, if the multiplayer feels this good, I can't wait to check out the campaign. And that's exactly what you do. And like you said, now when that launches, the campaign drops, it's a second launch of Halo, dominates the news cycle once more, headed into the key holiday season. We've got the Game Awards right there. And then that just keeps rolling, and you know they've got the foot to the floor on this thing, and they're not going to let up from here on out. They've got it. They've got the control. They're in control of their destiny for once, and they are not going to give it back. So this is all hands on deck, full speed ahead for Xbox and Microsoft. And speaking, Mav, of the Game Awards, somebody who is not not immune to controversy, Mr. Jeff Keighley. Again, personal thoughts aside, I personally like what he's done for the industry. I like the Game Awards. Again, to me, I'll preface this conversation. I'm gonna let Mav go first on this one as usual, but preface everything. For me, it's not, the Game Awards are not important. I watch them for the new releases, for the world premieres, for all the trailers, for all the hype. That's what I watch it for. For me, the Game Awards don't mean anything. However, there's a bigger picture, I think, involved here. Man, so this week, the Game Awards, for anybody who does not know, on Tuesday morning, because we were on Boom Show when it happened.
Yeah.
They announced all the nominations for the Game Awards. Lots of great games. Again, this was a year that was wide open. No real dominating 1, 2, or 3 games where everybody was like next year. Next year is lining up. If all those games hit, where we're going to have like, you think this year's controversial, next year could get really controversial. But anyways, we're not going to jump the gun. So it's a wide open race this year. There was a lot of really, really great games, but nothing that just absolutely dominated this year. It was a wide open race. And a lot of people, after the Forza Horizon 5 launched in early access and then leading into the opening weekend, people started really getting loud that Forza Horizon 5 better be nominated for Game of the Year. That's how good this game is. This game got rave reviews. And again, Metacritic, MetaWho could care less, but it does matter. If you look at the bigger picture, those scores still do matter at the end of the day for a lot of different reasons. But reviewers loved it. Players loved it from all over. And so that became the sounding board, right? That became the people with the loudspeakers. We were all out here going, this has got to be nominated. But it's just a racer. That's the answer. It's just a racing game. That's the response you get. There's a seemingly a glass ceiling at the Game Awards for certain genres. RTSs, right? Racing games. Up until Hades, I would have included roguelikes in there, right? More niche titles. Fighting games, right? Generally not accepted or not put up on the same level as your narrative-driven games. It seems like the Game Awards are highly focused on that. So this week, the rumbling started. Tuesday morning, they released the nominations. Game of the Year nominations comes out, and sure enough, Forza Horizon 5, in my opinion, is snubbed. Okay, great games in there. I didn't have a problem with the list, but I could have argued probably on every single one of them that Forza Horizon 5 could have replaced any single one of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way a lot of people feel. So there's a lot of frustration out there. Now, disclaimer here. The clowns on both sides. The circus comes to town when anything like this happens. The clowns show up in their little mini car, come out honking their horns, honking their noses, spraying everybody with their water flowers, their squirt flowers. Look, the clowns on both sides, knock it off. You guys know who you are. You can have constructive criticism. You can have a discussion of why you believe this was snubbed without getting personal. You can have these discussions without attacking Jeff Keighley, who is not one of the voters, not one of the jurors. Yes, he runs the whole thing. Yes, he's going to take the most criticism because he is the quarterback of the Game Awards. And we know, as another sports analogy goes, when you're the quarterback of a football team, you always get too much praise for the wins and you always get too much blame for the losses. That's how it works. When you're the face of a franchise or you're the face of something like the Game Awards, you're going to take the heat and you're going to take the credit. Jeff Keighley knows this, right? He knows that this is going to happen. However, disrespectfully talking to somebody, making memes about somebody because you disagree with him personally is not okay on any level. Okay. It does not do your point any justice and does not give you any credibility when you come attack somebody like that. Same goes for the other side. You guys, on the other side, you're using this because you saw a bunch of Xbox fans upset and frustrated, and you just pour gasoline on it by coming in with your stupid little stuff. Okay. You're intellectually dishonest if you're going to sit there and say this is a nothing burger and that Forza Horizon 5 can't be considered for Game of the Year for all the stupid reasons. It's just a racing game. It's just a reskin. It's DLC of 4. Where were you guys when 4 came out? There's a whole lot of reasons why 4 didn't get this hype. Okay. It might've got the same kind of scores, but there's reasons why. But both of these clown shows, go get help. These are video games, but this is also a business and we can have a discussion because again, for me, I could care less about the awards, but for the devs, for the publishers, for the hundreds, thousands of people that work on these games tirelessly for years, to be recognized by this group of people as some of the best in the best, your game being one of the best, is important. Okay, period. I don't care where you work at. You want to be known as some of the best developers, some of the best workers around. And this is one of the ways that happens. Is it the be all end all? Of course not. But it is one of those ways. That's where we're coming from. That's where a lot of the frustration lies. Again, the clown shows on both sides aren't a part of this conversation. So just knock it off. Go get help. Okay. Again, video games, but we can have a serious discussion and have some critique of this process and ask the questions if there's something that can be changed or some other way to do this, so that games like Forza Horizon 5, which is a game, and that title is Game of the Year. It's not game except for racing games of the year. That's not what that says. This is a game, the same way that I could argue the Age of Empires could have been considered for a nomination as well as an RTS. Again, there's no exception in that title. And that's the biggest problem here. There seems to be an unwritten rule, an unwritten exception. And this year, especially, what better year for that to break through than this year? So, Matt, we've kind of been on this since day one, because we were well, you weren't on Boom Show, but I hit it on Boom Show, but you obviously saw what was happening right away. You had thoughts and opinions on this right away as well. We had conversations in the background. Now that we've come this far this week, we've seen, everything kind of, Keely's responses to a lot of people and everything, kind of the explanations coming out. Jez updated his article. Jez, Windows Central, shout out to him. Again, had a great article, kind of his feelings on how this is wrong. All that kind of stuff, kind of breaking down his own thoughts on why this happens. Did a great job with it. He updated it, talked about the dates, which we knew about. Grub has talked about this. I brought it up on Boom Show as well. That you got to vote. The votes are due earlier than when it actually ends. And then any games that come out after that, I think it's like November 4th or something like that, the votes were due. Any games that come out after that, they actually have to go in and redo their voting for Game of the Year or whatever category to make sure that that game gets counted. Now, human nature being what it is, we know a lot of people out there, this 100 and however many 100 plus media members, a lot of humans are just going to be submit and forget about it and never look at it again, even if another game comes out that's great. So again, where are you at with this? What did you think? What are your thoughts?
Right, I agree with you about like personal attacks and stuff of people in the games media, and stuff gets way out of hand at times. Like if you got blocked by somebody for, it's probably because the person was getting attacked a lot and they got block happy, right? Like this happens a lot. Like I see people with certain figures and that people are not huge fans of, right? I have issues with certain ones that I've even said some things, but also, like it's sometimes people take this stuff like way too far, right? Especially with some people that have done a lot for the industry as well, right? So you kind of got to look at it as a whole, right? Just because somebody has some flaws and deserves some criticism doesn't mean they're evil. You know what I mean? So that you got to like put that in perspective, right? All human beings, all people make mistakes. As this being said, the fact that we even have a Game Awards that is this big of a deal,
right,
is amazing, right? It's a great thing. Okay, it is a huge marketing show where we get all these awesome reveals, where we get these great moments.
It's becoming a second E3 at this point.
Yeah.
In reality,
100%.
Bill's talked about it. That
right.
that E3 and then the Game Awards are his two biggest priorities for that kind of stuff, because of the amount of audience that's watching. Yeah.
And we would not have this show if it wasn't for Jeff Keighley.
Correct.
That's 100%. Right? Xbox has dropped their console reveal at this event. They've revealed Hellblade 2, Perfect Dark, at this event. This is a big deal event for Xbox fans, right? That would not exist without this. So you have to put all of these things into consideration. However, there is criticism with the one big aspect of this. It has grown to its popularity because it is called the Game Awards, right? And because of the prominence of it, the Game Awards has gained a lot of credibility to the entire industry as far as what they see is kind of like the official award show for gaming now. And it's compounded itself, I would say, more so over the last 5 years, right? To become bigger each year. And it's gotten to the point now where it's like the de facto, this is the Game Awards, right? Now, to say it doesn't matter to me, because I don't really give a shit who wins any of these awards, because I get what it's all about. It's all about marketing and stuff, right? I don't really care, right? But to say it doesn't matter at all, it does matter. It matters for a lot of reasons. It matters to these companies. It matters to the developers. It matters to a lot of fans of the games. It matters to a lot of people, the casual audience out there that doesn't really follow the stuff or understand how this stuff works with like marketing and all these things. They just like see, oh, hey, that's the game of the year. You know what I mean? So these things do matter. They have value for a lot of people, right? I watch like Pong. I watch to see like, hey, what are they going to show us, right? That's what I care about. That being said, it matters because it exists and because of the prominence of it, right? Not to me, to the industry. And if you have something that has reached that level of prominence and perceived credibility, you have to stand behind the credibility at some point. And you have to actually have a system that works properly for the industry in which you are promoting, right? So there's heavy criticism. Now, yes, the voters, you can have issues with them as well, right? But overall, there's reasons why people have this doubt and have this criticism and have these things because of the system that's put in place in the first place, right? If you get rid of any kind of issues where, hey, there's preconceived notions of games getting overlooked or not enough time to really look at this game properly, all of these things, and you remove all of that doubt, then you have something that people can be like, oh, they made a bad choice, or they just made a bad choice, or like they didn't, what the heck, why'd they leave that game out? As opposed to now the main credibility issue is timing. The timing is off. It's been an issue. It's always been an issue. And the main issue is because this is a marketing event. This is a marketing event for the holidays. There's a reason this is right before Christmas, everybody. Like it's not rocket science to figure that out, right? What is the easiest thing to do? If you look at actually having the most credible review system out, you have a cutoff date that is well before your actual award show. So that way nothing gets left behind. You could have your cutoff date 2 months before, right? You have the award show in February. Everything before January 1st counts. January 1st to December 31st. Easy, right? You have your award show in February. Therefore, nothing gets under the wire, right? Now, the games that came out January, February could potentially get overlooked, but those should be counted easily as in a 2021, 2022, 2023 game. It'd be easy for critics and everybody to say, okay, that fits this criteria. This is what's in fold for that year. It's just easy, it's simple. It's a simple way to look at this. Now, the interesting thing about the Jez article is because I think there's two issues here, right? There's the one issue that you brought up about genres not qualifying, and we talked about that on Xbox Ultimate and all these things. Like, it's just stupid that these same games journalists who make up the entire group of media that also votes on the games awards will have a game that they all perceived as an aggregate of a 92 be nominated for a game of the year over overall aggregate score of a game that has an 84, right? If you're saying the games media is the people that choose this, and they all, as a collective of all of these over 100 outlets, reviewed something and said it's a 92, and the same outlets reviewed something and said it's an 84, how can the 84 get the nomination and the 92 not? Right? That's a big difference there when you're talking about scores. One is the highest reviewed game of the year, one that a ton of people are playing. One is a good game, right? It deserves a lot of praise. A lot of people believe great game. But that's a huge disparity in score from the same critics that make up the voting process. I don't understand how that happens, right? So that's one issue. So then you look into what some of these journalists say was the issue. And that's where Jez's article really paints a picture, because it paints a picture about the process of when these votes come in. And I want to point to a comment on this article from Andy Robinson, who is another person who has been in charge of award shows with the Golden Joystick Awards and all of these things, right? Saying that, hey, it is an issue with the timing from their own opinion as well, right? It's interesting that he goes on to double down and say that the timing is an issue. Now, it's one thing that he says to have a award for sound design or something like that. It's a lot easier just to like go in and like add that. But when you're talking about game of the year, you know, these votes are already put in and these games are already thought about way ahead of time, right? So when you have that like down to the wire aspect right there on that date, and then you have the system where, hey, they can go in after the fact and change it. It doesn't really work. You know what I mean? For things that are in that month, in that timeline. So I think that overall, the add credibility and to not have that doubt, they need to go in and look at the systems that are in place. Now, that's just a criticism, right? That's a critique. It's not like saying, hey, Jeff Keighley is an evil person for not doing this, right? Because, hey, guess what? Maybe it's not even his decision on when it. Maybe it's his partner's decision on when to have the Game Awards. Maybe it's Microsoft and Sony and all these sponsors and stuff about when they want it to be. Who knows?
And it's fair to admit, or it's fair to let everybody know, because a lot of people don't know, Mav, he actually has a board, and Phil is a part of that board. Phil Spencer's a part of the board for the Game Awards. So and I think Bowser's on there, and I believe Jim Ryan is also on there. So everybody's represented on this board. Again, we wouldn't have this big of an award, this big of a celebration, this big of a production without the marketing, without the advertising slots. And that's what this is about. Like you alluded to, Mav, this is about this specific time frame prior to Christmas, the holidays, being a prime spot where he can sell advertising slots, which gives him the money to put on this big production. Without that, it wouldn't be the same show as it is now. So, but they are represented. Everybody's represented there at the awards. So again, if Phil, and we don't know, Phil's not going to come out and publicly talk about this, but we don't know behind the scenes if Phil hasn't, or if the board has not talked about changing things. When they see stuff like this happen, we saw this with Ori as well, right? We saw this, Ori got snubbed in a lot of people's minds as well. So this isn't the first time, Overwatch winning one of the first couple of years that it was out of the blue over Uncharted 4, which was a shocker, right? So things like this happen. There might be conversations going on in the background. There are people representing everybody from the industry there. So maybe we will see these changes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to go to this tweet again too, because this was like, I think a lot of people saw Jez's article and just like thought that he was saying, like on his tweet, that hey, there was a fourth cutoff date, and that's why fourth. And if you actually go and read the article, like, there's a lot more there that explains, like with his update on the article about exactly what some of the issues are timing wise, and I think if they do make any changes, it will be stuff like this, right? Because it is an issue. So on that tweet, the Andy Robinson again says, "Not sure how much I can say, but Forza Horizon 5 clearly isn't there because of timing." He just flat out says it, and he's
my only pushback though, Mav, is how they did it get in other categories.
Well, but he goes on to say, okay, so and it's not surprising the biggest games get picked when your jury is 100 plus pubs.
Right.
As somebody who ran the biggest public game awards, let me tell you that would not improve that at all. Call of Duty Game of the Year, and he won. So basically, what he's saying is having the public, pick it is not necessarily the best idea either.
Right. It's a popularity contest at that point. Correct.
So Jez asked, if timing issue, then why is it nominated for other awards? The same question that you asked, right? And then Andy Robinson says, surely you understand why it requires less time to judge a game on its audio and accessibility than Game of the Year.
I don't
right?
agree.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You got to think all of these journalists probably already have in their head what was their Game of the Year. They get the ballot on the 4th or whatever, or that they have to have it in by the 4th. They had just partially played for Forza Horizon 5 or whatever, and they have no knowledge of what the public perception is going to be of Forza Horizon 5. None of that influence is in their head. They've had months to marinate on some of these other games, and they sit and they make their vote, right? And they make their vote. Now, then Forza Horizon 5 comes out. It explodes.
Most of them had it in October.
But they had not been released to the public.
No, but they had it. Like the judges, most of the jury would have had it prior to us.
So, but what I'm saying is, based on these journalists, they have no idea of the public perception and reception of this game as well. Which I think, as a games journalist, you should take that into account, right? Like, just because you like a game so much doesn't necessarily mean it's like Game of the Year, right? I think that Game of the Year should be something that is actually like widely thought of as a great game. And when this game comes out and you see these numbers and you see everybody loving it, this huge reaction, like overall, should, I think, contribute to that impact, which there was none of that yet because the game hadn't even come out yet. Right? At the time that these people voted. Okay? So, but they can look at it and be like, okay, yeah, technically, right? The sound design is great. This blah, blah, blah is great. But Game of the Year is a big deal. To throw it on there without any kind of actual public release yet, it's kind of like, I don't know if anybody's going to make that decision. Right?
I would say, Mav, that the decision was already made in their head, that it wasn't. I think it's easier to make a decision on a game like Forza Horizon that it's not Game of the Year material with a short period of time, simply because a lot of the media, as Jez alluded to, think of it as just a racing game, right?
Yeah,
and it's just a car game, and I'm not going to be the person that votes for the racing game.
But here's where I get into that too.
Yep.
After the public reception of this game, that I believe would have had a chance to overcome those obstacles mentally for some of those journalists, right?
Right.
Whereas beforehand, it is another racing game, but this has transcended that for the public without them knowing that ahead of time at the time of voting, right? So this is not just another racing game to most people, right? But they had no preconceived knowledge of what the public reception was going to be at the time that they put their votes in.
Yep.
And that's where I think having that time to marinate, right, on things is important, right? You can't have the cutoff date and then have the award show a month after a game comes out and have that included in the nominations and everything when you don't even know how it's perceived to the public yet. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. It's like nobody had even gotten a chance to play it except for the actual reviewers themselves at the time of voting.
Well,
it's just, I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
It's again, it's a lot bigger when you take a step back, and it's 2021. Why they have to? I understand that Jeff has a lot, and there's a lot to coordinate and get done. And I understand that having the votes all in earlier helps out, even if it's a week or 2 weeks earlier.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that should not happen. It's 2021. You can accumulate these votes extremely fast. You're not waiting on mail. And it should be given up until the last day, the day of cutoff for the games that they are allowed to submit their voting. And I think that that would solve a little bit of it. Now, Mr. Kima, I was actually going to bring up Starfield in my points, and you bring up an interesting point. We're going to see this next year, Matt. Starfield comes out at 11/11.
Yep.
Okay. I think it was just easier this year for the voters to just not vote for Forza Horizon, no matter, even if they were some of the ones that thought that it was a masterpiece, because it is, they can just go with the excuse, well, it's just a racing game. Nobody expects it to be there anyways. But next year is going to be the test, because Starfield's 11/11. If the voting ends sometime before then, like it did this year, and they got to have their votes in, and then Starfield hits, I can guarantee you, because it's Bethesda, because it's Starfield, if Todd has another greatness on his hands, they're all going to be rushing to go change those votes and make sure that it's nominated, right? That's
possibly
going to be
for a game like Starfield.
Correct. And that's what I'm saying. The difference is here. And that's why the frustration level for many of us, again, there's different points being made out there, some valid, some not valid, some coming from the wrong place. But from my point of view, that's why the frustration is high for those of us that look at it and say, this was the year. And I tweeted at Keeley about this early when Colt made his post about Keeley not even talking about the game. And I quote tweeted that and tweeted directly at Jeff. And I said, Jeff, wouldn't it be great for the entire games industry to see Forza Horizon 5 break through this year? Because this was the one year where something like Forza Horizon 5 could break through. Right. This is the one year where it could prove all those naysayers, all those people, because Forza Horizon 5, above all other racing games, except for something like The Crew, but we know The Crew is not on its level, right, is different from just being a racing game. The terminology that's been used going back for a while on Twitter, nobody knows for sure who started it, but car PG is the best way to describe this. This blends genres. This is not just a racing game. That's why you see so many people outside of racing fans jumping on the Forza Horizon bandwagon. Kaitlin being one of them, right, Mav?
100%.
She's obsessed. Right, of all people, right, Kaitlin. And that's just not her type of game, racing game. She's not going to sit down to a motorsport or a Gran Turismo and enjoy herself. But Forza Horizon, absolutely, because it offers so much more than just racing in it.
Right. And I think we're on the same page with that.
Yeah.
Because I agree 100% that it's because it was a racing game that it wasn't looked hard enough at.
Right.
But I also think if they was a timing shift, and they were able to see the public reaction and realize that this,
and I don't disagree with you,
that they did transcend it, it could change their idea of what is capable of Game of the Year when they go and make their voting, right? I just think the public reception should have an impact into the vote, and not necessarily from public voting themselves, but the journalists at time of voting don't even have a chance to see the public perception of Forza Horizon 5. So, you know what I mean?
And I think that could have helped it, man. I think that could have helped it. Again, I don't like to get the whole conversation of public perception being everything, because, again, then smaller games that the public may never even get a chance to play or never experience get left out, right? There's that, it's like the movie awards, right? Those indie films that people don't watch that still may be great films, but beyond a select niche
you see a lot of those at the award shows.
Right. They still deserve to be in there, even if a mass, even if a large majority of people didn't see it, it still deserves to be there because it's a great piece of filmmaking. I think Forza Horizon 5 is a great piece of game making and should have been acknowledged in this. And my fear, like, this was the perfect year, the perfect storm, so to speak, to have a game like Forza Horizon sneak in there, because as we're going to see coming up, 2022, 2023, you've got more of the classic style games that normally get voted on from some of the biggest developers in the world coming out. And these types of games aren't going to be sneaking in, right? These types of games aren't going to be recognized because there's going to be so much out there that no matter what, even if it is another level of Forza Horizon 5, it's going to be dismissed because no way I'm going to put that in there over a God of War. No way I'm going to put that in there over a Starfield. This year, there was just an opening for it to happen once, kind of like the Overwatch year. Again, I disagree with Overwatch being, winning game of the year, not nominated. You can nominate it. And like I said, I wasn't even saying Forza Horizon 5 had to win this year. I'm just saying it should have been recognized and nominated because this was the one year it had a chance.
I agree.
As the top car PG of all time coming out, and it did so much more than 4. Again, we could get into why 4 did not get the same. There's a lot of aspects to why Forza Horizon 4 got a 92, but you didn't hear this clamor for it to be game of the year. There's a whole lot of reasons behind that as well. That's easy to see. But again, this year focused on Forza Horizon 5, it really had a shot, and I just wish. And again, I'd love to see Keighley do a documentary of behind the scenes of the award show too, and show how this goes down, right? In just a little bit more transparency on what happens. Do they send a reminder to all the voters after they've submitted? Do they send a reminder and say, hey, these games came out after you submitted your vote. Would you like to change your vote? Please resubmit here, right? Because again, human nature is submit, forget it. They got too much going on.
Even then, to ask people to change their vote is going to be less likely that they would,
Correct. But I just want to see how it's done, or if it's just left up to them just to be like, nope, they got to go in and change it. If they feel that strongly about something, they got to go do it, because again, I think that just puts games at a disadvantage. I don't have all the answers. I don't think anybody has all the answers. I just think that there is different ways to look at this and to try to make changes so that at least something like a Forza Horizon 5 in a year like 2021 doesn't just get discredited, because it's easier to discredit it than it is to actually go back and look at it objectionably and say, yeah, that needs to be nominated this year above the ones that I may have already submitted. So I just think that, again, the clown shows, go get help. Us that want to discuss this rationally and ask Keighley, give him some feedback and ask him about certain situations. That is more than fair to do at this point if you honestly care about this. For the people who honestly don't care, fine, you don't care. I'm glad you guys don't care, but you guys can stop with the personal attacks on those of us that do care as well, calling us children and everything else on the internet.
100%.
Look, that's just as wrong as all the stuff you're complaining about. Again, because you're not making specifics. You're generalizing the whole entire group. And that's where I have a hard time with its communities. Many issues is it's generalized as the whole community is doing something. No, that's not true. It's generalized as the whole community is coming at a certain topic from one way. That's not true either. A lot of us are older adults who have raised families and have some really, really thought out opinions on things, right? And we're not coming at it from this one, very immature view. That's not how we're doing this. So anyways, good talk, Mav. I really enjoyed this conversation.
You hit on something right there, because I saw some things on Twitter that kind of pissed me off, and from people in the community that you kind of it's like, okay, I feel a little attacked right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like,
right.
I'm not trying to piss anybody off or upset people by having an opinion about something or thought. Right. You know what I mean? And it's like some get too. This happened before when we started, with the acquisition talk and stuff like that. It's like some people get a little sensitive when people are having fun discussing something, or they get too easily annoyed that there's too much conversation about a specific topic, right?
Right.
Hey, no skin off your back. Just ignore the conversation. Move on. You know what I mean? I
do it all the time.
And guess what? That award show is going to have a lot of good stuff for everybody, regardless. I think this is a valid conversation, Pong. I think,
and this for sure,
just because it is reached a certain status as the Game Awards. I mean, whether you care about the awards themselves or not, it's reached a status that I think to have the best credibility is a good thing for the gaming industry.
Correct.
It's a good thing for the gamers. It's a good thing for the developers. It's a good thing for the publishers. So there's a couple of key things that they need to get worked out in order to have the most credible award show for gaming. And I think these are the points that could hopefully
Right.
grow that, fix the timing issue to where all
Yeah.
games can really get considered. Secondly, um, make sure that all genres are considered for these things. And I don't know how you go about it, but
Yeah.
maybe choose your voting uh
And,
criteria better, or choose who's voting better. You know what I mean?
right.
We don't know.
Right. Or
We don't know the
yeah, whatever.
answers, but
We don't know all the answers, but the only way you're going to find them out is by talking about them.
yep.
And last point on this that I'll make is that this isn't even about the end of the year stuff. This also counts for the beginning of the year games that come out early on and many times are forgotten. There is a section of people out there who could honestly argue why Hitman 3 should have been nominated.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of times we see it
Returnal.
where Returnal again. I have zero issues with the arguments about why Returnal should have been there. I have zero issues. There's people that argue for and against Ratchet and Clank. I get it. I understand that. It's just that the early games as well seem to be left behind because, again, as gamers, this goes for journalists as well. What's not right in front of us is sometimes really forgotten, or recent, right? Is forgotten real quick because there's so much. And again, as this industry grows, Mav, and we get more and more content, like I said, 2022, 2023, you think the discourse this year of Forza Horizon 5 is big? Wait until next year. There's a chance that there's going to be, again, games aren't out yet. We don't know, but just looking at the list of games that potentially are coming out in 2022, 2023, you're talking about 90 rated games being left off a lot, and some big names potentially being left off. And people are going to be frustrated with that no matter what, because there's only a certain amount of slots. So, hey, buckle up, guys and gals. It's going to be fun, but this is, as the industry grows, this gets bigger and bigger, and these conversations get bigger and bigger. Bav, we started a little bit late, brother. You want to get in this final topic here?
Absolutely. This is going to be interesting as well.
Yeah. So we got another. This is a serious conversation. Again, I just told the clown shows to go away. There was some clowns even in this scenario here, which is unbelievable to me. I again, my faith in humanity is so low that it shouldn't shock me anymore. But every time I come across it, it does. Look, so Activision, another big, unfortunate news week when it comes to Activision. And this week, it was a report by the Wall Street Journal that indicated, that alleged that everybody's favorite head of Activision, Bobby Kotick, knew about the sexual misconduct for years, helped cover it up, stepped in on multiple occasions and defended, or I won't go so far as saying defended the people that were accused, but went so far as to move them around within the company, give them counseling or order counseling versus an actual firing. Really, really awful things. When this first broke, Mav, we've talked about this on multiple shows when this whole Activision thing came out. And I said from the beginning, and I think you did at times as well, there is no way you were a leader of the company and don't know this stuff is happening underneath you. And if that is actually factual that you don't know, you're a terrible leader either way, and you should not be in charge of that company. But now it comes out that these allegations are that he knew, that he helped cover up. There's even a report that he threatened one person to have them killed. Whether or not all of this is true or parts of it are true, obviously we always go with where there's smoke, there's fire. And I got to believe that he knew a great deal about what was happening in Activision and Blizzard underneath him for years. And so I've been calling, saying that Bobby Kotick has to go. Obviously, again, as armchair CEO, I understand concepts and I understand basic concepts about these businesses. And I knew that it was going to take something big because the risk of keeping Bobby Kotick around had to be bigger for the investors than not keeping him around and their pocketbooks, right? So you have to get to that tipping point. So Mav, let's talk about this first. Let's talk about, and then we'll get into some of the industry pressure that's being put on. When you saw the Wall Street Journal report earlier this week, when you heard that Bobby knew what was going on for years, what were your initial reactions? What are your thoughts on this obviously just heinous situation? What are your thoughts, sir?
Honestly, I was not surprised one bit. I would have assumed this, but coming from the Wall Street Journal also concretes things a little bit more with kind of the stuff that they put out there, right? And I think that if there's any doubt left in people's minds about stuff, I mean, that can be kind of put at bay, because this is pretty clear that this is a systematic issue coming from the top, right? And you can play like, ignorance and all that kind of stuff, but it's pretty disgusting when you see the things that took place, or when you hear about the things that took place, and to be able to cover up and going beyond that, all the crazy stuff that happened, right? We're still sitting in this place after, how long has it been now? A couple months, 2 months, maybe,
yep.
Right? Since this stuff's really 3 months since this stuff started coming out.
Yep.
You still have this person clinging on to power. A good leader, after they realized what was going on, everything, it would have implemented necessary change from the get-go, or stepped aside, removed themselves, whatever you got to do, right? Instead, it's a cling to power, and it is absolutely the most disgusting thing, because at this point, you have other executives looking at it in disbelief that this person is still in charge at their partner that they have to do business with, right? Or that they have been doing business with, and we'll see where that goes in the future, right? So you have this person clinging to power, which is astounding to me that the board there is allowing this. What kind of control and power does he have over these people that they would stand behind him still to this day? He is clinging on to a sinking ship and refusing to let go of the helm because he believes it's his ship. And it's going to be, everybody's going to go down before I let go of this wheel. And if he realizes at some point the ship's better off with him at the helm, without him at the helm, that's better for everybody. Okay? Because he needs to take his hands off. He needs to get the F out of there. Move aside, retire in his life of luxury, which he is going to be filthy rich, cashing out, moving on with his life, right? But the answer is still no. Instead, it's still an active defense. It's still an active defense and clinging on to this position. It is absolutely astounding.
Let's talk about the inside pressure first, Mav, because
Yes.
you make a perfect point that he is just clinging to this, and the board has, again, what power does he have? The power of the checkbook, the power of the bank accounts. He's made these people filthy rich since he took power. And that's the only thing that he's done. And he's done it well to the point where he's getting obscene bonuses each and every year, right? And so they allowed this to happen. But the internal pressure. So once the story dropped, of course, the employees instantly came out. We saw Jen, what's her last name?
Jen O'Neill.
Jen O'Neill, thank you. She finally left. Her and Mike Ybarra were in dual kind of role control, and she left stating that she was not getting the same pay as Mike Ybarra. It wasn't until she threatened to leave that they were offering her that pay, but she decided to leave anyway. And then the employees obviously caught wind of the Wall Street Journal report, and now
they
they have signed a petition. Yeah, they've got over 1,000 signatures. It's being reported now, saying that they must remove Bobby Kotick. They planned another walkout. Then finally, Mav, like I was talking about, the risk versus reward factor is starting to kick in, because now you have investors writing letters to the board saying remove Bobby Kotick. The investors are now involved. So that, again, we shouldn't be talking about this. Bobby Kotick should be gone.
It's
but at the end of right, it's crazy, right? But this is how things work, unfortunately, in the big corporate world. But each one of these is a next step. Having the investors call for Bobby Kotick, having them call for his head, is a big step, right?
Yeah.
Because again, now the board can't ignore what's happening. And as the stock price continues to drop, it's going to. It's going to affect him more and more, because that's affecting the board, right? Their shares go down, their overall wealth goes down. And we're not talking about a normal person's 401k wealth going down. We're talking about millions upon millions of dollars being lost potentially in a single day of trading. Yeah. This is not okay.
Which may have actually happened the last couple of days.
Which may have happened. Yeah. I think I read today it's dropped 30% so far in overall value.
So imagine you have $100 million and it drops 30%. Now you have $70 million because of this guy that won't leave. Right. Insane.
And it is insane. And we've heard more calls, more employees are coming out and saying the meetings that they've had have been not substantial enough, that the things in place that they claim they're going to put in place are still not good enough. I just read today that they've vowed to not have alcohol on company time anymore at a certain point in the future. They still have not banned alcohol, Mav, at Activision Blizzard. Look, are you kidding me right now? Like, that should be instantaneous. And so then that leads us, that was the internal pressure, but then that leads us to our next big part of this topic here, is the outside pressure from the industry itself. So on was it Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday, I believe it was. Bloomberg got a hold of an internal email from Jim Ryan to the Sony, all of his staff, right? Basically, everybody got this email. Ryan specifically in this email was talking about Activision and Blizzard, what's happening over there. Obviously, the Wall Street Journal finally got to the big ups in the industry. Ryan said, quote, Activision has not done enough to address a deep-seated culture of discrimination and harassment, adding that PlayStation reached out to the company to see what it was planning to do in response to the incidents detailed in the article. He went on to say, we do not believe their statements of response properly addressed the situation. So obviously this got out to Bloomberg. Bloomberg posted it. Kudos to Jim Ryan. Again, this is an internal email. None of them have gone public with this stuff. Again, was it leaked to Bloomberg purposely? It certainly could have been. That happens in these types of scenarios. Again, as you were talking about, Mav, early on, these are big partners, okay? This is an industry, and these partnerships with Activision, who is still to this day one of the biggest publishers in the world, it's no small thing for something like this to happen, and then have your main industry partners come out and say something about it, because normally businesses don't get involved in other business. Okay. That's just not how it goes. Normally they allow these companies to handle it. You know, we saw it with Ubisoft. We really didn't see any industry people come out other than the employees, and some other people come out, but nobody big. We didn't hear of a Sony, you know, not that it didn't happen quietly, but we didn't hear about Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo coming out and speaking out about what was the accusations that are going on to Ubisoft, and still to this day are unresolved in a lot of ways. But here, when this stuff comes out about Bobby, obviously Jim felt it was time to address it to, you know, all of his people at PlayStation, and that they were made aware that they were looking at things, you know, trying to find out what Activision was going directly to do. And this was a severe problem in his eyes, and that they were going to address it. So that was a big deal. That came out. And then today, same thing. Email gets to Bloomberg. Phil wrote an email internally to everybody, letting them know. He said, quote, he is evaluating all aspects of our relationship with Activision Blizzard and making ongoing proactive adjustments in light of the recent revelations at the video game publisher. He went on to say that he was, quote, disturbed and deeply, that he and the gaming leadership team are disturbed and deeply troubled by the horrific events and actions at Activision Blizzard. He referred to the Wall Street Journal specifically earlier that week. And he went on to say this type of behavior has no place in our industry. So you got two of the biggest players in the gaming world right now, two of the most powerful men, people in the gaming industry.
And those are only the ones that were leaked.
Correct. Like I said, we don't know. We don't know. And like I said, could these been purposely leaked to continue to build pressure? Absolutely. That's the game that's played, because again, it's not normal for business partners to talk about each other when you are still have ongoing contracts, unless things are really, really bad. So it's obviously gotten to the point where they feel they need to do this. So I would not doubt that this was purposeful without coming out publicly. I put out a tweet saying that I would publicly like to see Bowser, Jim, and Phil, either do a conference, whether it's Zoom or whatever the case may be, or form a statement together that obviously comes out and flat out says that this is not okay in our industry and that a change needs to be made. Otherwise, guess what? We're not doing business with Activision Blizzard anymore. Matt, where are you at now that you've heard Jim Ryan's comments? You've heard Phil's comments. We know the inside industry pressure is now being put on Activision Blizzard to do something. The board has to recognize this, right? They have to stand up and take notice. Like you were talking about, we did hear that the board is rallying the wagons around Bobby for whatever reason right now, but that wall's got to crack at some point, don't you think, brother?
I think we talked about this before. I think because of the surprise at the lack of response originally, even after this stuff started happening from the state level, right? When the investigations started happening at the state level, and we're looking at they're like still not responding properly, is not reacting properly, and all of these things, is like, where's the pressure going to come from? You know what I mean? Because at the main pressure, the things that they're going to feel is marketing deals, and put their biggest partners, right? And because gamers are going to keep buying Call of Duty, right? I mean, it's still like, even with as bad as Vanguard is compared to the other Call of Duties, it's still selling incredibly well, right? Like it's down significantly, but still one of the best selling games of the year, right? To this point. So they're still going to keep selling their games and all this stuff. So where does the pressure come from to initiate that change? If it's not coming from the board of investors, which is where it usually comes from,
board of directors,
right? Board of directors, right? If it isn't coming from them, that's where it usually comes from in these kind of situations, right? Then it's going to come from the outside. Now, you've seen the employees as well have been making that makes a big impact. So when you have the employees, and then okay, that's still not enough, right? Guess what? You got a certain amount of investors now saying this stuff, and then you get two of your biggest partners, one of them asking directly to you, what changes are you going to make? And another one saying, we are weighing our options at basically what we're going to do in the future with this company, right? That is not insignificant. I've seen some people say like, hey, it's just words, right? That is when you're have these big, huge partnership deals and you have this long standing working relationship of goals of making money together with these large companies, right? And you come out with something like that, it is usually a plan. It is not just a simple on a whim thing. Hey, yeah, we don't really like what you're doing right now. It's like, hey, we're going to put this pressure on because we need answers and we need change. Second step is, if you don't think they already have considered and know what they're going to do if this change does not happen, that would be incorrect, because they already have a step 2 in play, right? These companies have a step 2. They need to know what Activision is going to do, and if they're not getting a direct answer, we've already seen from Microsoft now that they're, seriously considering their relationship and everything with Activision. So what is the next step? We're going to find out, and they're going to put more pressure on in any ways that they can in order to force this change, because guess what? Xbox doesn't want to see Activision fail. PlayStation doesn't want to see Activision fail. They want to see change. I think most fans, if you actually enjoy the games and stuff, want to see change. You don't want to see the company completely go under, right? I want to see the company be better. I want to see the company make key changes in the necessary positions and get things corrected and foster a more positive environment and create something special, right? That is still possible to this day. It is not possible with Bobby Kotick in charge. So that's the pressure that they are putting on. If they can force this change and get these things corrected, then we can start looking at what the future of Activision is, and see a more positive, some more positivity start to happen, right? Because this is not just people haven't liked Activision for a long time for other reasons, right?
Right.
And now you're adding this on top of that, which is way worse. Like, there needs to be change, and like that pressure being put on is very crucial and important. And I'm curious. I'm just watching and waiting to know what the response is going to be, and I keep getting surprised at the lack of it and the increased defense, because even after Jim Ryan's thing in the Wall Street Journal, the board of directors came out with, "We stand by Bobby Kotick." That just like absolutely astounded me. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. Again, clinging on to control with your people that you've made filthy rich. You're all going down on the ship together. You're all going down on the ship together until you people realize that this is a sinking ship and this is our doing. You need to make the changes. Nothing's going to happen, right? So they got to figure stuff out. It's the pressures come from the outside. Like you said, the wallets are going to hopefully make that impact. Hopefully the legal ramifications from the ongoing things still are going to help make those necessary changes. I think they had already one settlement, right, that they did, which was like, that was like a joke, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Right. It's just like, hey, cut us a check. We'll ignore it now. You know what I mean? Like,
that's how that lawsuit was set up. Everybody who read that lawsuit, a lot of those lawsuits are written that way. Like, there is no intention of going forward. It's just intended to push for a monetary settlement, period. And it winds up being a lot less than is ever going to be acceptable for what happened, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy.
I think it's like changes are going to be made, and guess what? You're going to see hopefully sooner than later, because like if it keeps going down this path, then I don't know what the future of that company is. And I've seen even some things, even like NASDAQ.com was alluding to the fact that they could be setting themselves up for being susceptible to a hostile takeover because their stocks keep dropping, right? And if somebody did do that, guess what? They can make whatever changes they're going to deem necessary, right?
Yep.
So they better, if they want to, if the board of directors that's there wants to keep what they have going, they need to look at themselves and make some difficult decisions right now that they should have made months ago.
Yeah.
Other companies have had similar things happen before that they've rectified within a week. and it completely made top down systematic change with their company, right?
Right.
This is insane. I Ubisoft is out there too. We're still
Yeah.
looking at you, right, as well. I don't think the allegations that have come out from there have been as significant as this, but we don't know a lot yet, right? I
Right.
think there's a lot of those things that have been kind of like less public. So I'm curious about some of that as well. However, Activision's is become very public, and this is getting ridiculous, and I just can't believe that that man is still sitting there on his throne, like as everybody is just
Well,
flailing.
if the board thinks that this is all just going to go away,
No.
they are seriously underestimating. If they think they're going to pull a Ubisoft here, which most people have already forgotten about, you
Mhm.
don't hear about it anymore that much. If they think this one's going to go away just because, it's not going to happen. Okay, this has built up too much steam to just die off. And that's why you see these reporters from all over digging in deep, right, on Activision for a lot of different reasons. But because now the agenda is to get Bobby Kotick removed because so many
Yes.
people disliked him already. Now there's an opening, and there's a lot of people out there with a lot of grudges and a lot of bad reaction to Bobby Kotick. So now they're going to keep digging, and the board's not going to be able to just move on and hope that they release another, fantastic Call of Duty, which they just didn't do, which is hurting them. But they're not going to be able to do that and make everybody forget what's happening here. People are going to continue to dig and bring up new stories, new things. And if you think that the end of the stories happened with the lawsuit, you are also sadly mistaken. The employees, one by one, more and more are going to come out and talk about what's been going on there. And more stuff is going to get leaked. More and more stuff is going to be considered like a whistleblower. Internal documents are going to start showing up in reporters' hands. This is a continuing deterioration. This cancer was created. This cancer needs to be rooted out and completely wiped out. Otherwise, it's going to continue to just fester and reappear. And as we know now, chances are more likely than not that Bobby Kotick was the head of this cancer. And he had every chance to get rid of it himself, but he didn't. And he became part of the cancer itself if he wasn't already. And so now therefore he's got to go. And they're weakening their company day by day. The Wall Street Journal alone, I just looked it up, Mav. The Wall Street Journal report alone on Bobby Kotick cost them 1/10 value.
Yeah.
Okay, 1/10 by that alone this week in a matter of days. Again, eventually that's all going to add up. Like you said, the NASDAQ, the report from the Reuters writers who wrote up the article talking about a potential takeover, abso-freaking-lutely. Because guess what? Anybody who wants to take over that company at the right price, whoever it is, again, not a lot of companies are going to want that headache. But at the end of the day, for the right price, anything is valuable. If somebody's going to come in there, guess what? The votes are going to go out. The investors are going to vote on it. They're all going to vote for the sale, knowing full well that it's going to be a clean house situation. And they're not going to have much choice in the matter, right? They're not going to have much say anymore because they've lost all credibility. And that's why, like you, Mav, I could not believe that the board was surrounding Bobby Kotick with the wagons and protecting this guy like that, unless they're implicated, unless they are more out there and they knew, and Bobby's got dirt on the board members, which I would not put it past this guy. This guy legit, if half of the allegations against him are true, the ones that came out this week and the previous ones about how he was running stuff like Scarface over there, look, I don't doubt that he's got dirt. And so if that's the case, that's the only reason why I see this happening. But guess what? Like you said, Mav, they're all going to go down with the ship because this is not going away. This is a sinking ship at this point. The dead weight has to be tossed overboard, and that's Bobby Kotick for sure. He's the biggest weight on this company right now, and he's got to be gone. And I think eventually, especially if Jim and Phil are serious, and all of a sudden they start canceling contracts, they stop doing business, they pull games from the stores.
Could you imagine them like removing Warzone off of PlayStation and Xbox?
Yeah, and and again, as much as we like to say that Sony and Microsoft Xbox are competitors in this and they're always battling, do not doubt for a second that Jim and Phil have not talked about this already together, and this could be a joint venture where they say, okay, we both agree this is absolutely horrendous and has to be fixed. How are we going to do this? All right, let's pull game A, pull game B from the stores together. Let's make this a joint operation, because that impact will be hit even harder if they do something like that together. So I do not doubt for a second those phone calls have not already started happening, and that they are going to be allies on this to make sure, because again, this doesn't just affect Activision. This is something throughout the industry. This industry as a whole, the game industries, has been the good old boys club for decades upon decades. They're trying to get past that and move forward. They're trying to show all of this diversity and trying to get, inclusion with females, with people of color, all that kind of stuff. If you don't think stuff like this continues to perpetuate that stereotype that this industry itself created, you're also wrong, because these stories do that. I've seen many people on Twitter come out and say, I feel sorry for any woman who decides to go into this industry. For that to be happening in 2021, that's not just, hey, I feel sorry for anybody who works at Activision, but the industry still as a whole has a image problem that was created by itself in many, many ways. Some not, but many ways it did. They got to take stands like this and get the really high profile people out that are still causing these types of issues. And so Kotick has got to be number one on that most wanted list right now. So for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's about more than just themselves. It's like about the industry, and it's about, it's interesting now, like removing a game from the storefront. That has a lot of implications, right? Because you're also removing things like, if let's say you remove like something like Warzone, right? Or like deactivated on your console. You know how many people bought stuff within that game and all their only place to play is on that console? That has huge ramifications to the customers, players themselves, and they won't be happy with Xbox. They won't be happy with PlayStation if they do that either, right? So it's gonna, they gotta be extremely. It's not as easy as a decision.
It's not cut and dry.
Yeah, you can't just go like, hey, we're just gonna remove this, and hey, guess what? No, because guess what? Xbox and PlayStation care about their customers as well, right? So it's a very like tricky situation to deal with when there's something like this. So that's why when you see them come out with a statement or an email asking, what are you going to do to fix this? What are you going to do? Or we're considering our relationship with this publisher, all of our contracts and all these things. When you see that stuff, it is extremely strong, right? And right now, like it's like they're in denial about what the world that's going on around them. It's like they're just sitting there. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay, right, guys? It's gonna be okay. We're just sitting around at their table of scum, right? And they're just sitting there saying, hey, it's okay, right? This isn't gonna impact us that much. We're gonna be back up next week, right? They're in this like cycle of denial and like weird thinking of like, we're being too positive about they're being too positive about themselves right now. They need to look at it, like take a step back. Somebody that's rational within that group needs to look back and be like, hey guys, this is a big deal. We're fucking up right now. We need to fix this and handle the situation, or else guess what? We're all screwed. Because if they would have handled things properly from the start, we could all be having a different conversation right now.
Right. Like we could be talking about a new hire or whoever they decided to go look for right now. We could be moving past this. Like they could have hired.
They could have hired them months ago. They could have hired them 2 months ago, and we could already be 2 months into the new Activision, right? And they
new
could,
direction.
They could all be at home sipping on their like cognac or whatever the fuck they drink. I don't know. They could all be sitting comfortably. Yeah, somebody else's problem now, but they're going to fix it. We put the right people in place, right? And they're that could be the talk now of this new Activision. Instead, they're just letting it drain and just
get worse.
Dissolve.
It's getting worse.
It's getting worse by the week, man, by the day.
Right.
I can't believe that he's still in charge and they are letting this go down like this. Absolutely boggles my mind. They must, I don't know. It's a weird situation, man. Like, and here's the thing also, regardless of even them, the board of directors, who is worse, because a leader would step aside immediately and be like, hey, I see that this is a problem. I see that I'm a problem. Oh, I'm going to move on. And then that way I'm removing myself from the situation to make it easier on everybody. Right. What a piece of shit to not do that.
And Mav, the sickest part is he would have gotten a golden parachute to do so. They would have given him a golden parachute. He would have gotten hundreds of millions of dollars more just to walk away.
Yeah.
Just to walk away.
Like what a piece of shit not to do that and remove yourself from the situation and instead let the entire company and everybody underneath you suffer because of your refusal to move on.
Right.
That is insane. It's I can't believe it. Like, just as somebody has managed as in a company and all these different things. It's like it just is against good human nature.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course, which we know the dollar supersedes in almost every case.
with him especially.
Like everybody said in the chat again. Go ahead and review pretty much any large corporation, any product that you buy, whether it be Apple. We know Apple's practices in foreign countries, right? Slave labor is still a thing to this day.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's ignored because we just want we just want it, right? We just want the tech. Again, this is one of the biggest gray areas in humanity and morality is what happens in these gigantic corporations that we all are guilty of turning a blind eye to, because none of us go through all the products we buy and make sure that the corporations are doing things ethically. That doesn't happen in real life. We're all a part of this problem, right? But at the end of the day, when there's one that's out there like this, that is in front of us, that is happening, that the stories are out there, the allegations are out there, lawsuits are going on, when you see people who are directly involved, like a board of directors that has the power to fix the situation, and they don't do it, and they actually rally around a cancerous person like this, that's when it makes you take a step back and go, what the fuck is going on? Why? You have another group of humans that have the power to make a change and they don't do it. Then you have to look at that group of humans. Like I said, does Bobby have the dirt on them? Are they a part of this? Were they all aware of this as well and just ignored it because the money was so damn good? Then they're all just as guilty as he is, and they all should go. It's sickening. It's humans. Again, my expectations of humans are so low after 46 years that this doesn't shock me, but it does shock me when somebody like Bobby Kotick is protected to this extent. Like, you just don't see this. We've seen companies rally around a person, but usually there's a tipping point, and usually it happens before what we've seen this week happen. The fact that Phil and Jim had to come out and make a statement is unbelievable. It is truly unbelievable.
It is.
That you had to have partners say something. Yo.
Yeah.
It's time.
It usually takes something really dramatic, like in public facing, for your partners to come out immediately.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for them to not come out immediately, they had the chance to fix this and they didn't. And instead, it's just got worse and worse to the point now they have to come out and say this stuff to get changed. So we're gonna see. It's gonna get more interesting to see what kind of conversations happen from Xbox and PlayStation regarding Activision. So can't wait to see.
Great conversation again, brother. Man. We killed these topics tonight, man. Chat was loving it. Chat was active. You guys are amazing. Pixel Slappa, thanks for stopping by. Country Gentleman, a generous member of the community, man. Thank you so much for being in here. Only on Xbox, always good to see you. Nick's brother, awesome to see you. Great points as well. Tony Grasso still hanging out with us. Look, all of you that's been here tonight listening in to this, I hope you enjoyed it. Again, some more serious topics. Some things that have been talked about quite a bit this week that aren't always, just fun and games, which Mav and I do love to focus on the fun and games aspect, being this is the golden age. And we had a great week this week with Xbox, again, dominating and releasing. But these topics, as far as the industry goes, there are shows that will ignore these topics for their own personal reasons. That's fine too. You talk about what you want to talk about on your shows, but Mav and I here, decided that, this show was going to be about the industry, good, bad, indifferent, and anything in between that, piques our interest. And again, having these big things like Forza Horizon 5, possibly being snubbed, but more specifically something awful that a lot of people would rather choose to ignore because it's just a difficult subject to approach, like Bobby Kotick and the allegations and everything going on over Activision. Mav and I are going to deep dive this stuff because it is a part of our passion for the industry as a whole. We want to see the industry continue to grow. Things like this cause problems for everybody involved. And we're going to make a statement about it. So, but great thoughts, Mav. Awesome job tonight, brother, for sure. This was a fast, almost 2.5 hours.
Yeah, dude, I looked at the time. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I feel like we've only been at this for like an hour, dude. Like,
I know.
Crazy. I was like looking to see if we had more topics to fill in time, 2.5 hours though, man, that flew by, dude.
It did. So Mav, tell everybody, good sir. Oh, hey, I'll point this out too. A little bit of housekeeping before we get out of here. Next week, Thanksgiving, obviously no PM in the PM. Mav and I are going to be spending time with families and doing that good stuff. I think everybody else should too. We all need our breaks, real life. This is, again, these things come along to remind us, hey, real life is here. And it's good to enjoy that as much as it is to enjoy this hobby. So no show next week on Thursday. We will have a week off and then we'll be back the following week. Obviously everything goes well. So, but other than that, Mav, brother from another, tell everybody where they can find you on your 1.1 million podcasts in this great empire that you are building and you are king of. What's going on with you? What you got coming up for the rest of the week and going forward, sir?
Well, I'm gonna play some more of that predatory Halo Infinite. I think I think it's where my mind's at right now. I'm gonna go for that Halo Infinite, yes sir. Dude, I've been playing some of that tonight. I want to kind of dive back into some Battlefield again sometime coming up this weekend. All that stuff. But besides that, you guys know where you can find Fun Speculation, and it's here on the Fun Speculation YouTube channel with all of our shows, as Pong calls the Empire. Yeah, we had a fun time on Fun Pop last night with 3-Bit, Psycho, and Jasper was there, and then we also have this amazing show that I'm just lucky that Pong has agreed to do with every week.
By the way, Mav, last night you guys got an awesome GIF come out of that, right?
Oh yeah, I was trying to prove a point.
I know you were.
Like I this whole lizard man thing is I don't understand it. You know what I mean? I get some speculation, and I love fun speculation. Yeah, but like the evidence is there on the screen. So I was trying to prove a point when I was told that somebody can't flinch their head back in the middle of the air. So I tried to get off the ground. I got 2 inches off the ground, but managed to jerk my head back. And his proof is in the pudding that you can do that.
You are not a superhero or a mutant either, and both of them with powers that do allow them to do mid-air combat. It is certainly possible. I was on your side, Mav, for the most part. I think that speculation is possible, or it was just bad animation. But
which is
at
possible
the end of
too. These are not real people on the screen.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So, but I was more leaning towards your side. It looked like he was flinching at the explosions happening off to the side, but it's certainly possible it was more than that. So, yeah. But I thought that was absolutely hilarious, man.
Yeah. Yeah, the possibility is there. I'll say that.
Yes. Yes.
Just like ignoring the fact that a building is exploding right next to this person. I don't know.
And for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, go check it out. Mav posted it on his Twitter. He said, "Don't ask." Underneath this Twitter, he posted the GIF that Kaitlin had made of him doing some absolutely horrendous things. I don't even know how. I don't. That let's just say he's not the most agile of people out there, but it was pretty hilarious to watch him do it. So there is a GIF posted. So
I've got bad knees. Okay.
Okay.
Shout out to Vic the Click with a $5 super chat. Appreciate you, sir, so much. He says, "Got me missing my Patriots game, but this topic was so strong not to listen. It's sick, but it needs to be talked about. Great show, guys. Physics."
Wow, appreciate that, Vic, man.
Hey,
Giving
I
up
know
football,
what he's
man. Hey, look. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, 100%, Vic. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. It was absolutely a fun show to do today, regardless of even if the topics are serious. It's still fun to sit here and discuss this kind of stuff with with a friend. So that's what we're doing, and also all you guys in the chat. You're all friends here too. So thank you guys so much. Yeah, so we had fun pop last night. PM in the PM here, as you know, always on Thursdays. Tomorrow is Xbox Ultimate Podcast. Be there. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have the great panel. We're going to have some awesome Xbox discussion. As always, that's Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then Saturday, we will be back with FSP Fun Speculation Podcast. Man, great time to be a gamer, even with all this other stuff that we got to talk about, right? So much awesome things going on in the gaming world, so enjoy it.
And don't forget, you are on Xbox Factor Podcast.
Yes, on Tuesdays, Xbox Factor Podcast. I couldn't do this week. I had to be at an appointment, which sucked because that was the day after the Xbox event. My God, I wanted to be at that show so bad.
Yeah,
I'm sure you guys had
I wanted you to be there. I know, man. I wanted you to be there too.
Yeah, it killed my soul. Like I had to be somewhere, but you know what? Like it is what it is. So on Tuesdays, Xbox Factor, Mondays, Tidbits. You know, tidbits. we do all the things. We didn't do Tidbits this week because of the Xbox show. You know, I apologize to anybody who's watching the stream that was co-watching the Xbox stream with me, because like within 5 minutes after I just dipped because I wanted to go install Halo, right? So you know, it is what it is. But yeah, catch all of our shows on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. To all the audio listeners out there, we appreciate you as well.
Yes,
Pong Soul, tell everybody what you're doing on all of your shows. Your amazing stuff.
Yeah, no problem, man. Again, great show. Chat, you guys are absolutely amazing. As always, fantastic to see all these familiar faces in here weekly. Continue to spread the word. Mav has, quite a big subscription, but it's always good for new shows like us to still get the word spread that, hey, it's Mav and Pong. You'll want to hear some deep dives? Go check them out Thursday nights. It's a good time. So tomorrow night, of course, Xbox Ultimate, obviously. Mav just talked about it. Magnificent 7 back together again when we can be. So come check us out Friday nights. Awesome time. Again, family atmosphere as far as we go. It's not a show that you want your kids listening to, but we are like a family, but we take lots of left turns and go into some really crazy stuff sometimes. So come check us out. Xbox Ultimate tomorrow night. Saturday morning, living split screen. You guys love this format. I know Tony Grasso in the chat loves it because he's at the living split screen every Saturday morning as well. My brother from another, Steel Rain, and I have this type of format, although Steel and I go for 3+ hours and cover a lot more topics than Mav and I tend to. But man, it's kind of the same deal. We are deep diving. Steel and I both like to talk, if you can't tell. So check us out. Living Split Screen, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. And then obviously Saturday nights, the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam. PTK deserves a lot more viewers. The guy's been doing for 5 years. He's an OG in this business. Look, puts on a great show. We have a great time over there. Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Or no, excuse me. Chimes change. 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time, because he lives in Arizona. And so does Centurion, and they finally joined the rest of the United States with the last time zone change. So again, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. Be there. And then otherwise, next week, maybe Xbox Factor podcast. I got to see what work schedule is going to look like. It's a short week. It's a 3-day week. I might have to be at the office putting some major hours, but normally Xbox Factor podcast, Mr. Boomstick, Double Barrel Gaming's channel, obviously. Be there 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Mav, Zemi, 3-Bit when he's available, Archimedes, myself, all Xbox. It's awesome. So just come do that. Boom shows are great. And then otherwise, not next weekend on Thursday, because we're going to be spending time there. Got a nice 4-day weekend. Thank God I need it. But next Thursday, we won't be here, but the following week we'll be back. Otherwise, it is the golden age of gaming. We appreciate every single one of you for coming out now and listening to us live or later in the future on wherever, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, don't matter. We appreciate all of you gamers for coming and listening to this show. It was another awesome show. Episode 5, Pong and Mav in the PM in the PM, down in the books. Everybody, go play what you love what you play. For my brother Mav, we'll talk to you all real soon. Have a great one, ladies and gentlemen. Please, love you all. Nothing but respect.
Yo, and I want to add one more thing real quick. Okay. So, because Kate reminded me in the chat, on Saturday night, our friend Spooky Sprocket is going to do Dark Wasteland podcast.
Yes.
And awesome. He's going to interview and have a show with me and Kaitlin.
Oh, that's always a good time.
So it's going to be us 3 together Saturday night, this Saturday, after FSP. It's probably going to be like, I think like 9 Eastern, I think is when it starts.
So while I'm doing the shop?
Dang it. Yeah, dude. But like Spooky can go pretty long on this thing. I have a feeling, I just put the link in the chat also for you guys. Spooky is a relatively new podcaster. He has a newer YouTube channel. His first podcast he was on as a guest was Xbox Ultimate, and he's went on to stream. He did a Twitch channel, and then he formed his YouTube channel. He's a super great guy in the community. He's a warrior for the community. He deserves more subs on his show. He's got like 43 subs on his YouTube channel, guys. And he actually, like, I will sit there and listen to Dark Wasteland. I listened to your show. I listened when Psychonauts was on, and he does a great job actually on this show. And I want to give him props on that. We wouldn't say, hey, let's just go do it just because I like the guy. Like, no, he actually does a good job with the show. Like, I think he really does. He does like a good interviews and great discussion with this stuff, and it's actually really enjoyable to listen to. So check out the Dark Wasteland podcast on YouTube and Spooky Sprocket's channel, and give it a listen. And like I said, me and Kate are going to be on there Saturday night. So shout out to Spooky, and we'll be seeing him then. So
Nick's channel is just Spooky Sprocket, SPOOKEY, and then Sprocket, SPROCKET. Spooky Sprocket. You'll see it. The last Wasteland he did was with me, so you can go check that one out. We went 3 hours, so
yeah,
of course we did. Although I'm not even one of the longest ones. Him and C Unit, Chris Jones, they went almost 3.5. So, go check out some of the previous episodes. Again, it's just a good time. Like Mav said, Spooky. It's very casual, just kick back. A lot of times talk about the history of gaming and all that kind of stuff. It's just really cool to get different people's perspectives on where they came from, what they think of the industry, all that kind of stuff. I deep dove the plans for Microsoft and Xbox in the future, what they could become. So you get that on there, but you get other people's just kind of general. It's awesome. It's just a kick. It's just a cool time to be on with him. So go check out that channel for sure.
Yeah, right on, guys. And I hope, like Pong said, I hope you all have a great one. Bye.
Yeah, absolutely. Later, gentlemen and ladies. Appreciate you.